for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, we are on episode 43, and I'm super excited to talk about this because we talked about it all through October, everything dealing with this fantastic franchise. But we're finally talking about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I wanted to get this out for Halloween, but stuff came up, couldn't get it done, so I had to push it back a little bit, so I'm sorry for a little bit of delay. But we're finally here. As you can see, I got some new icons for those of y'all watching on YouTube. That's because I changed new editing software, so give or take, if some of the titles might look a little different, I'm still messing with some stuff, seeing what I like and what I don't like. So forgive me if it's a little distracting, but I'm still working on it, like I said. But we were talking about the new FNAF movie that came out back in the ending of October. And, oh, God. I was contemplating how to really put this, and I think as simple as I can put it is how everyone else puts this. I'm going to review this movie not just as a FNAF fan, because I do enjoy the games. I'm big in the lore, watched a lot of YouTube videos, played a lot of the games. Got even the Mad Pat sweater and everything. My sister's pretty big in the games, reads the books all the time. But, you know, I'm not like a huge, humongous, crazy fan about it, but I do enjoy it, and I do get a lot of the nods and references. But I'm also going to review this as a casual horror movie goer. So I'm not going to give it all the praise in the world, but I'm not going to shit on this movie either. So, you know, I'm going to kind of try to keep it neutral. I'll do my best to keep it neutral. When it comes down to breaking down scenes, I'll try to break it down as both sides, so y'all can kind of understand. Maybe as somebody who isn't a fan of FNAF and there's something you might have missed, maybe I could explain it. I don't know. But one of the things, before we get into all the details and stuff, one of the things I've noticed, and I think it's just because of the stigma of Scott, but I feel like people are reading way too much into this movie. Like, they want answers for everything. Like this, like I heard somebody was complaining about why ain't Jane, which by the way guys, before I continue on with that sentence, spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts for everything in this movie. We're going to be talking about every aspect of this movie. So super spoilers. You haven't seen it yet, watch it, then come back to this. If not, welcome to the spoiler side of the podcast. But a lot of people were complaining that Aunt Jane wanted the money for Abby. That was the whole reason why she was doing what she was doing. And people were like, well, why does she need the money? How much is this child worth? We don't need to know that information. Like, just take the movie as is. Like, all we know is Aunt Jane just only cares about money, and she's a bitch. That's all we need to know. We don't need to go into detail about why she's a bitch. We just know she's a bitch, and that's all that is needed. So, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, but with this particular type of writing, it is really good, because we don't want to be adding too much detail that is unnecessary. Granted, there is some moments. Actually, no, I take that back. There is no moments that add too much detail to something. There's just one scene in particular that I just can't get into it. Like, I want to understand the scene. I find it silly. I find it silly, and I feel like it doesn't belong in this movie. Like, 100%, but we'll get there when we get there. But the writing of this movie is very simple, very, very basic, but it's still good and entertaining. Especially when you combine it with like the amazing lighting effects, the practical effects, and the music and all of that. Very basic, generic, but we also got to remember Five Nights at Freddy's is not necessarily for me. And I'm not saying that because, I'm not a super humongous like FNAF fan. I'm just a casual fan. It's the age demographic. You got to think about it. It's PG-13. This movie is for children, for teenagers who like this franchise. People, my sister's more the target demographic. She's 15 years old. She grew up watching the franchise. This is more her speed. Now, a lot of people like to complain and say, well, Willy's Wonderland was better and the Banana Split movie was better. First of all, no, in the Banana Split movie, that movie was, oh god, that movie was god awful. Like, I'm glad he pulled out of Warner Brothers straight up. But Willy's Wonderland was really good too. But the difference is, those movies were rated R. They could get away with the blood and the violence that we all crave as a horror fanatic. Then, that shit we just crave. This is PG-13. They don't want to scar these little children. And you gotta remember, the games are also the same way. They're not very bloody. They're violent, but they're not bloody. The situation is violent. What happens to these kids is violent, but it's not bloody. And again, PG-13. So we as adult fans of FNAF are not necessarily the target demographic. Not saying we're not going to enjoy the movie, because I highly enjoyed the movie. As a FNAF fan, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed the movie. I like the nods, the references, I like the animatronics. God, I'll get there when I get there, because I'm about to make sweet passion to love those animatronics. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I just want to start off with talking about the writing and the reason why, I'm not going to rake it across crows. And don't get me wrong, it's not the best FNAF movie. Like, I literally pictured a little bit better, mainly because I was picturing rated R version of FNAF. So I felt like my version of it would probably be a little bit too gory and bloody. But I do appreciate what they've done. It's a good video game adaptation movie. It's got a lot of good stories to it. Got a lot of good elements. A lot taken from not just the games themselves as well, but I know some stuff about the books that's also involved in the movie. So overall, I think as a FNAF fan, they did a tremendously good job. The lore is good. You know the characters. You know what's going to happen, but you're just excited to see it anyway. Like with the whole William Afton, a Springtrap. Any casual fan of FNAF would tell you he's the main bad guy. I think that's why Matthew Lillard had no problem just stating out the obvious. Just, hey guys, I'm the purple guy. Yeah, that's me. I think that's pretty much the reason why, like, any casual fan would know William Afton, purple guy. He's Springtrap. Funny enough, though, I don't think they call him Springtrap in the movie. They call him the Yellow Rabbit. Which is understandable, because people who are not big fans of FNAF and just casual moviegoers or horror moviegoers, Big Yellow Rabbit is a little bit more simpler to understand. Seriously, try to explain the entire lore to a non-FNAF person is like, you ever seen that scene, I want to say it's from The Office, maybe? It could be a different show I'm thinking of, but where the guy's got all the pictures on the wall, and he's got the red string and stuff, but you got Matt Pat standing there instead going, look at the lore! You can't, we don't have time for this, okay? We got 2 hours to tell a movie, we don't have time to go through all the shenanigans, so yeah, we gotta make it simple as hell. Yellow Rabbit. But, I've started to digress there for a second, but yeah, we as FNAF fans know who that is, we know what the big reveal is, but there were still elements of the movie that still threw in a bit of a twist I didn't see coming, and it's making me want to piece shit together. I'm not gonna lie, and we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, like I said, FNAF fan, you're gonna love this movie. Now, as a casual horror movie lover, I give it a 7. Like, straight up, I give it a 7, like a low 7, because I mean, it was entertaining to watch. It was fun. I had some good, intense moments to it. I love the lighting. I thought the atmospheric design of the pizzeria was really, really good. It actually felt like a real building. Like, I could just pull up and actually go in there and play the games. and so with a lot of the spotlighting and the color lighting, they're very saturated, they're very bright, especially when the characters are on stage. It's just excellent. And then let's not even forget about when the power starts flickering on and off, how intense that shit is, especially combining that when the stage starts acting up. It's got some good effects going on. Like I said, the building design is amazing. That was always some of my favorite moments, is just watching them going in and just being around the building itself. Because the building felt like an individual person, because just how creative it was. I really like that. And don't get me wrong, some of the other places, such as the restaurant, Sparky's restaurant, or Mike's house, the casual locations you could probably find anywhere else. But something about the pizzeria, just fucking amazing. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it was amazing. Now let's talk about those animatronics real quick. Jim Henson's production helped create these things. Now, I unfortunately was misleading about one thing. I thought they used nothing but animatronics, but I was wrong on that. Apparently, they used a combination of both fully operational animatronics and guys in animatronic suits. Not as sophisticated as spring-lock suits, but they still had men in suits doing it. That was very fully functional. Which I thought that was very cool. I like that, though. I like that. But the attention to details about the characters is great, including the Golden Freddy cameo that we saw. I don't know why Golden Freddy, because he was mainly a suit, but, I guess something would be explained in the sequel, because I have something to point out about that. It's something the kid said to Abby when he showed up to the house. It was, she goes, "Freddy?" And he goes, "Not Freddy. Let's go and play." Why would you answer like that? I'm assuming we're the Freddy kid, right? Granted, I probably should have checked that in the credits. I'm not gonna lie. I should have, but I didn't. But I'm pretty sure that kid's supposed to be Freddy, so why would he say not Freddy? Like, I don't get it. But the animatronics were beautiful, they're well done. But Jim Henson's production has always done tremendous practical effects, especially when it comes to puppetry and animatronics. They always do like a top-notch job. So I was not surprised when I saw those things moving around, and oh my god, they're so creepy. The sound effects they make when they're moving around is just very eerie, and like they feel big. Like, they just feel big. Just like when Bonnie comes out of that closet when she's killing out the people who broke in. That was terrifying, because of the fact that you just slowly hear the mechanism of her just stepping, just that sound, that like a robotic sound, and just moving, just heavy footsteps, and then just the slight turn. It's very eerie, and I love that. Like, I loved every aspect of when these guys were on screen, except for one scene, and this is where the casual horror movie goer kind of dropped this down to 2 notches. We'll get there in the full breakdown, but just to sum up the scene, it's the scene where they build the fort. I'm sorry. I find it a silly scene. I get it. You could take it as one or two ways. You could take it as the kids are trying to lure Mike into a false sense of security and trying to befriend him, so they're pretending to be friendly and get along, which makes the kids more of the bad guys than anything else, which I don't believe in, because we all know that the kids are being controlled by Afton. But, on the other hand, and I actually agree with this one, they said that they're just kids being kids. They finally got a kid to play with, they like playing with her, let them be kids. And I can understand that, they're not just ghosts. They're ghost kids who just want to have fun. And I can get behind that. But it's silly in retrospect, because at one point Bonnie falls over and they're like, "Oh my god, Bonnie, are you okay?" And just thumbs up, just a little thumbs up. Like, what is this, an 80 montage right here? Like I said, it's not like the worst scene in the whole movie. I mean, hell, there's not really too many bad scenes necessarily, but just that scene alone, just like the horror buff in me was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they done this. But again, target demographic, young kids, teenagers. This for them was probably a highlight. I mean, I remember watching Leanna watch this scene, and she was giggling her ass off the entire time. I was just like, this is why that scene's here. It's for them. It's for them. But other than that, most of the scenes, most of the dialogue and everything is pretty good, and the moments with the animatronic are really good. And yes, I did say dialogue because there is a moment that's like a divisive thing for people, and it's the Freddy roar at the end. I can kind of get it. Because you also gotta remember, yeah, they're ghost kids, but they're also machinery, and they make weird noises, especially in fits of anger and frustration. Again, we'll get there when we get there. But overall, I enjoyed the animatronics themselves. I thought they were a fantastic design. Everything about them, as soon as you look at them, you're like, I know exactly who that is. You don't have to sit there and question whether or not it was who you think it is. You're not over there going, is that Freddy? That kind of looks like Freddy. No, you're like, oh no, that's Freddy, that's Chica, that's Bonnie, that's definitely Foxy over there hiding in the curtains. Hello, Foxy. You could definitely tell. Um, but let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about the cast and the directors real quick. This movie was directed by Emma Tammy. Is that how you say your name, Tammy? Tammi? I'm not quite sure. I didn't really catch her last night too terribly much. We know she helped write this, I do believe. But I know Scott wrote a lot of this because Scott was kicking this shit around for, oh God, I don't know how many years. I remember reading a post on Reddit like years ago about this, and he was, saying, here's some ideas I had, and he had it all written down and everything. It was crazy. And eventually, I think like 2 or 3 years later after that, before he signed on with Warner Brothers, he was like, I got a script, guys. It's all about Mike. So I have no idea if she helped with it, but I know Scott did a lot of it. Also, Seth Quebec? Cuddeback? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Probably not. But Seth, I know definitely for sure he helped co-write that as well. We got a fantastic cast. Josh Hutcherson, who I originally mistaken for that Maze Runner movie. Apparently, he's in the Hunger Games as Peeta. I'm sorry. I thought he was the. Just a little tangent, real quick. Both the Hunger Games and the Maze Runner series, they're the same to me. They're almost the exact same thing. They're both fighting in games. It's almost like Squid Games and Alice in Borderlands. Both really good ass TV shows. But same premise, same exact premise. Both playing death games. Just saying. But Josh Hutcherson, though, who plays Mike, he's in the Hunger Games. Of course, he was in Journey to the Center of the Earth 1 and 2. It's a very cute actor. Elizabeth Lau, who plays Vanessa, she was in the show You. I knew I recognized her right off the bat, because I've seen the first, I think, 2 seasons of You, or 3. I don't know how many seasons there are now. I'm behind by 1 season. But I've seen her in You. I know she was in Once Upon a Time as well. Matthew Lillard. If you don't know who Matthew Lillard is, I don't know what rock you've been sleeping under. But just for like a reminder, of course, he played Stu in Scream that we all loved. And he not only did the live action version of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, but he did such a good job in Scooby-Doo. They gave him the permanent voice job for 15 years or so. It was a long time before he got recast in that new Scoob movie. Oh yeah, Matthew Lillard, fantastic actor. I was super happy to hear that he was in this movie. And I knew right off the bat who he was going to play. I was like, only one guy could play the purple guy in this casting list, and it's this man. It is this man. Piper Rubo, who plays Abby, she's a little bit more of a newer talent to the screen. I think she played in 1 or 2 other little things, but other than that, she did a fantastic job as a child actor. I was really captivated by her, felt her emotions. I liked her a lot. Kate Sterling, who plays the babysitter, didn't really find much information about her. She played in a couple little indie projects. Mary Madison, who plays Aunt Jane, she was in the movie Something Kind of Wonderful. Oh my gosh, she was like super young in that movie. But I pulled up the movie and looked back and went, oh my god, it is her. I can't remember the name of the actress, but it was one of the main characters in the movie. My mother loves that movie. Kevin Foster, who did the animatronic Freddy, basically, He's done several things apparently. He was in Jurassic World, Drag Me to Hell, and Iron Man. I'm not sure if he's like a stunt man or what, but I didn't realize he was in all these movies. Like, next time, I'm gonna dig a little deeper, especially in Jurassic World, man. I gotta figure that one out. Just Weiss, Weiss. He did Chica. Jay Martin did Bonnie, and he was actually in the movie The Walk. I vaguely remember this movie. Like, it was like a little indie movie that came out a couple of years ago. He was in that. And then, of course, we gotta talk about the YouTube stars real quick. So we know that this movie was getting a lot of YouTube stars because YouTube helped this game really flourish. So I can see why Scott definitely wanted to give a lot of nods, especially some of the bigger YouTubers. Now, we know Mark Plow was supposed to be in the movie. He was supposed to be the security guard that got killed in the beginning of the movie. But unfortunately, due to his scheduling conflict of him working on the Iron Lung, that didn't happen. But maybe, hopefully, for the sequel, he could make an appearance somewhere. Of course, Matt Pat, who played the waiter in the movie. I'm going to be honest, when I was watching that and I heard, "Welcome to Sparky's," I sat there, I was like, why do I recognize his voice? And then I got a good look at him. I was like, oh my god, it's Matt Pat. Holy, okay, they did bring him in. Hot damn. And then, of course, we know Corey X. Kenshin was in there. He was all over the trailers as the taxi driver, which I don't really know the guy too terribly well, but apparently he's really, really popular, and my friend Lindsay likes him. So I'm glad to see he was in the movie as well. He did a good job. He did a good job with his one little scene. I thought it was funny, especially in the after credit scene. But yeah, this movie was super fun to watch. Like I said, for a FNAF fan, it's great as a casual horror movie goer. It's about mid. But overall, I had a good time. Well, let's go ahead and dive kind of further on into this movie, and let's get started with the beginning. So, for a casual moviegoer, they're setting up the basic simple premise of something's in this place. Because we start off with a security guard frantically trying to get through these vents. Like, he's unscrewing it, and he's got the door barricade, and something's trying to bust on in. And he's just in panic mode 10,000. And eventually he gets in, he goes through the vents, and such a terror, we don't know what he's running from, unless you're a FNAF fan, then you know exactly what he's running from. But as a casual moviegoer, you don't know what he's running from, but we know he's running from something. And as he runs through, he gets to the back of the building, passes by the main stage, which is currently on, and playing Talking in Your Sleep. Now, I thought that was strange. Let me digress real quick. Let's talk about the music real quick. Because two of the musical numbers appear right here, right now. Talking in Your Sleep is played periodically throughout this movie. Several times, because that's one of the main songs they play when the animatronics turn on. At first, I thought that was just a weird choice. You know, is that just an 80s choice? Is that just a random choice? But then it starts making sense when you start getting into Mike's aspects of him dreaming, and then the ghost kids coming into his dreams. And it starts kind of maybe meshing down together, because I want to say there's an aspect in the books about dreaming. I know in the games, with the fourth game, one of the theories is the kid you're playing in the fourth game is dreaming in the hospital in a coma. So there is a lot of, dream aspects. So I can kind of get why they chose Talking in Your Sleep as a song choice. It's a very good choice indeed. Definitely for an 80s song choice. Good choice. Next song I want to talk about is just the opening credits song. Absolutely love that song. It's very creepy. It's very eerie. It's like, it feels like FNAF, as odd as that sounds. Like, I feel like this theme song was made for FNAF. Like, it fits so well. And then, of course, we got to talk about last song, which is in the credits, which is Living Tombstones, Five Nights at Freddy's. I was blown away that they actually added that. I was just like, oh, that's nice. That's not. They're not just giving the content creators, but people who actually made the music for the games as well, because they were so beloved by. They loved the game so much. Basically, they made some music for it, which I absolutely loved that factor. But yeah, the music choice, very good choices. Like I said, originally I thought Talking in Your Sleep, super weird choice, and then I started thinking about it on my second watch through and went, that's actually kind of clever. But anyway, back to the topic. Security guard running for his life runs past the stage while Talking in Your Sleep is playing, and we see the silhouette shadow of Foxy, in the doorway. And poor security guard can't run fast enough. He gets stuck in a hallway trying to just pull that damn door, and it's not pulling because it's a push door, and this man, I guess, just does not have the strength to push it. So unfortunately, we as the POV of Foxy, because we know it's Foxy, again, casual moviegoers don't, all they saw was a shadow of a strangely odd figure, but we know it's Foxy. Foxy then knocks him out, takes him to the chair, which we all saw in the trailers, and he's strapped down as a Freddy mess is coming down on him. All gears are going. It's basically going to mutilate his face. And he is freaking out. And unfortunately, he does not make it out in time, and it mutilates his face. We unfortunately do not see it, but I could only imagine in my head how beautiful that mutilation would have actually been. And this movie was rated R, and the blood, like could you imagine a scene, right? We see the man struggling, and the mask comes down on his face, and it starts mutilating his face, and we get like a faraway POV shot, but above the mask, and we just see blood coming out the eyes. That would have been creepy as hell. Don't get me wrong, this opening's pretty intense, especially for the fact that, you know, you're not a fan of FNAF, you're just kind of thrown into this chaos. So it's very intense, very, very, very spooky. I liked it. I thought it was a great opening. And then after all of that, we go to the opening title screen, which is actually kind of important, not only because of the kick-ass theme song we have playing in the background, but the fact that we're seeing the game, a little nod to the mini games that you could play in the FNAF design-wise, playing in the background, and is of Afton grabbing each of the 5 kids and killing them as the credits roll through. I like that. Not only is that a perfectly good nod to the games themselves, but also established kind of the whole problem here. And I don't mean problem in a bad way. I mean like the reason why we're dealing with the ghost children and all that is just this man in a yellow rabbit suit took these kids somewhere. That should tell you and make you question a lot more about the Yellow Rabbit and kind of gives you a nice introduction to a degree of who the Yellow Rabbit is. But again, if you're a casual fan, you know who it is. So then we start off going with Mike, who is waking up. And his wake-up schedule is he hits his alarm, resets a tape recorder, and he looks up, and he's got a poster of Welcome to Nebraska on the ceiling. Odd choice, but, you know, to each their own when it comes to decorating rooms. And, of course, he's got sleeping pills. So it lets you know that this man's got problems sleeping. We don't know why he's got problems sleeping, but he's got problems sleeping. So as he gets up, and he, you know, goes to wake his sister up, which, by the way, we don't know until about halfway through this movie. Like, I kid you not, okay, not really halfway through the movie, but it was at the point when him and Vanessa have a talk at his house, that he doesn't say, oh, this is my sister. We just gotta assume it's his sister. But I was just like, there's no way it's his daughter. Granted, he is moping around like a guy who did just lose his wife, but it makes sense. He did just, I guess, lose his mom to a degree, because he did say she died, but it was a while back, so I don't know. You know, maybe he's got a lot of issues, okay? Like, he's got, let's just break down Mike's issues real quick. We got Mike. Mike's just a trouble sleeper. Mike's having trouble sleeping because not only was his mom killed a few months prior before this entire incident, his brother Garrett was kidnapped right in front of him. And he has not let that go. Again, we see a common theme here, just like the games. People cannot let go and don't know how to handle grief. This man is handling grief wrong. He is throwing himself into a dystopia of thinking that if he thinks hard enough and remembers hard enough that he might know some details that could tell him what happened to his brother. I get the crusade. I understand the crusade. But it's a long shot, bro. And you got a sister you gotta look after, man. You can't be so selfish, man. Like seriously, Mike. But I get it. I understand. You know, to each their own when it comes to grievances. But I like that. I really do, because again, like I just said, you know, the theming of what the game was is about, you know, men who can't let go of the past, who can't let grief take its natural course, who wants to play God. I'm not saying Mike is trying to play God over here, but he is trying to do a impossible task almost. Granted, his logic is not flawed at all, because that is something a lot of people believe, and he believes that if he, because everything is stored in your memory, like everything you watch, everything you look at, you see, is stored somewhere. You just gotta know how to dig it out, which is something a lot of people have been studying about memories of the brain. So he ain't wrong, but it's just the fact that doing this is putting him more into a depressional state, and he needs to kind of step up and take care of his sister. But as he wakes up, and he gets up and he goes to wake up Abby, of course she's hiding in a little tent. She's kind of being a little bit of a, I'm not gonna say a bitch, but just like a pouty kid. She's being a pouty kid. But again, I don't blame her. Her brother probably is not one of the bestest people to get along with at some points, especially with kind of how distant he can be. But he's trying, though. He's trying. Like, he says it multiple times. I believe he is trying, not just by words, but by action, because of some of the stuff he does for Abby later on in the movie. I believe him. He's just emotionally unavailable, and that's what Abby needs. She needs somebody emotionally available, but unfortunately, she doesn't know how to deal with her emotions, so like a lot of kids, she draws. That's all she does. All she does is just draw. She doesn't really know how to speak about her emotions, but and I think even the social worker points this out in a couple of scenes later, Mike is always the center of her drawings. Mike is there, which means she loves Mike. She just doesn't have what she needs from Mike because Mike is emotionally unavailable. But she's, being a little pouty, I don't want to, get up and get dressed. And he's like, I gotta go to work, and he's trying to get dressed and everything. And then we cut to him finally at work. He's a mall security guard, and he's talked to his friend, and he's brought a book about dreaming. And his friend makes a joke, saying something about if he knew what he knew now about trading a card in, he would have kept it because that card is probably worth $800 now. Like, I didn't get the conversation per se. I think he was just having like a weird flashback of something he regrets in his own life. Then Mike goes to get ice cream, I guess, for one of his breaks. Because this man seems to have a lot of breaks. Or he's still on the same break, I don't know. But while he's on break getting his ice cream, he sees a kid in the bag, and the kid looks a little lost. So he keeps eyeballing the kid until a man comes up and grabs the kid and starts walking off. Mike then gets like this instinct to go at him and just takes charge and starts running at this man, screaming, yells, hey, hey, and it ends up football tackling this poor man into the fountain and beating the hell out of him in front of everybody. I'm not saying what Mike did was wrong, because, giving his track record, the fact that he lost his brother to a kidnapping and it kind of looked like a kidnapping situation, I did feel like he could have handled that much better. Like, hey, man, proof that this kid is your kid. Like, can we have proof here? Photographic evidence here. Like, can this kid confirm or deny that y'all are related here? But Mike, no, he just instinctively just attacked. And that made him lose his job. So we wind up in the next scene with him sitting in the office of Steve Raglan. And anybody who's seen the trailer know who Steve Raglan is. But if you don't know, it's William Afton in disguise. Don't ask me why he's in such a disguise. But I like this scene. I like this scene for a couple of reasons. But let me break it down. So when Mike gets called in, he sits down. Steve is looking at him. He's just like, Mike, what is your deal? Are you even trying? Like, you've gone through so many jobs. Like, you can't hold down a job. Like, you lasted a month here, 2 weeks here, 6 weeks here. Like, what is your deal? I'm trying to figure you out. And, Mike, of course, is like, I'm sorry, I'm just going through a lot right now. And he's just like, I don't even know why you're here. Like, you're not going to help yourself. Why should I help you, Mr. Mike? And that is it right there. That is the key. He realizes as he's reading the name on the application who it is. And his attitude completely changes, like straight off the bat. He goes off from very dismissive, very like casual, like this is just a normal job interview for him. Just like, you're really not trying, bro. Why should I help you out? Like, you just get out of my office. And then when he realizes who it is, that's when he's like, oh. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people like to argue if he knew who this was. Because, plot twist, everybody. We find this out later on in the movie that Garrett, his brother, and I hate to say it's kind of obvious about halfway through the movie where this is leading off to. Garrett got kidnapped by Afton. Afton is his kidnapper and killed him. Now, I don't know if that means his brother is part of the ghost children in the animatronics. Maybe that's why when the kid showed up and said not Freddy, maybe he's not Freddy, maybe his brother Garrett is Freddy. That would be something interesting to look to in the second movie. Because we all know there's going to be a second movie. It made plenty of money back, and Matthew Lillard said that Blumhouse already signed him on for a 3-picture movie deal. So if all goes well, which it looks like it has, we should get a second movie. So maybe that's something they could explore in the second movie. Maybe Garrett is Freddy. I don't know. Like, that would be interesting. A good twist. A good, more knife in the heart scenario. I like it. But one of the things is, a lot of people like to, like I said, one of the things that people like to argue is, why would he hire Mike? Why Mike? Why, if he knew who Mike was, why would he bring him on? Because especially when he tells Vanessa that all he had to do is keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close. So why would you even risk him finding out about this by hiring him? Here's why. Afton's in the mindset that he's a child who probably could remember some detail about him, whether it be his car, whether he recognized him. He needs to know how much information Mike knows, but keep him under observation, but behind closed doors. So what's the best way to do this? Put him in a location he owns and knows fully aware of what's inside. And I know for a fact he talks to the kids, because something he says at the end of the movie. He says when he's taunting Mike, he's like, the little ones tell me you have a sister. The little ones tell me, which means at some point in the movie, he had a conversation with these kids, which means he probably has plenty of conversation with these kids. So if he sends Mike in there to, do the daily duties and keep an eye out on the kids, and if they get bored, they can play with him, he can still keep tabs on him by talking to the kids, like, well, he can sit down and just be like, all right, kids, how's this new security guard treating you? Like, he take care of the place? Is he clean? Has he mentioned anything about his missing brother, Garrett? Like, I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure he would talk to these kids. I think that's why he hired Mike to come into the job, or wanted to hire Mike, because as we find out at the end of the scene, Mike doesn't take the job at first. But I think that's why he hired Mike onto this job, so he could just keep a closer eye to see what Mike might know. And, like he told Vanessa, keep him in the dark, and if you got too close to anything, just kill him. It's a clean operation, no matter what. It's a win-win situation. If Mike did get too close to figuring out any information about his missing brother, he's got the animatronics there to kill him. I mean, they had no problem dispatching any other security guard. I mean, hell, they do it in the game all the time. So why should Mike be any different? And then, of course, you got Vanessa, who is also a police officer, who, again, plot twist, you find out in the end of the movie, Vanessa is Afton's daughter. So, he's got his bases covered. He has his bases covered. He knows what he's doing. I think this was a whole plan that he thought on the whim and decided this was a good idea. So, kudos to him for being smart about this and going, all right, hey, man, I recognize his name. But as soon as he recognizes his name, though, he comes from less dismissive and more like, it might be hard for you to find a job. Your options are very, very limited, man. I just don't know. It's possible, though. It's possible. So Mike's just like, okay, whatever. No. I have a job for you. I have a job. Sit down. Come and sit down. He tells him, it's a security gig. The hours aren't that great. Neither is the pay. I'm sorry. I did like that line. Where he was just like, the job, how did he put it? Hang on. Just worry about one thing. Keep the people out and keep the place tidy. That's two things. real quick, let me go on a side note real quick before I talk about the funny thing about the pay's not great and the hours are not great either. I love that line. But something Mike says right there when he corrects Afton. I think that's a good character choice because Vanessa does the same thing to him at the end of the movie. So he feels a bit of a kind of a like you can kind of see it on his face when Mike corrects him when he's like, "That's two things." You know, you just kind of see that little twitch. That's something he gets annoyed at, being corrected. He doesn't like being corrected. He likes to correct people. He just doesn't like being corrected. Which is very interesting for a character like William to be like that to a degree. Because he's got to have control over every aspect. And like I just described with the fact of why he brought Mac in, or Michael in, I don't know why I just call him Mac, Michael in, he's controlling Michael in this controlled environment. He's got to have control over everything. So when someone tries to correct him, that's someone kind of basically pushing up against his control, just going, "Hey man, you're not right about that. You're not perfect." And it aggravates him because Afton's also a guy of perfection. He likes perfection. I think it's mentioned that several times in the books itself that he likes perfection. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting piece of dialogue. But yeah, that funny line is, the pay's not great. The hours are not great either. Like, oh, I was trying to find a job today. Just trying to find a job in general. Just, all right, so what's the pay? Not great. Not great at all. Oh, that's not fine. Look, the hours are great. Those aren't great either. I'm sorry, not sorry. But unfortunately, Mike turns the job down because it's night shift, and he says, "I can't work nights," and that's understandable because he's got Abby. He's got to watch over Abby during the day. Too bad it don't last though. So after he leaves, Steve gives him this card and says, "Call me if you change your mind." So he goes home, and unfortunately, he sees an eviction notice. Not great. He comes in, Max is sitting on the sofa watching television, just daydreaming about, "I wish somebody would buy me a ring." And of course he asks about Abby, and he's like, "Did she eat? What do you think?" So he goes in the room to go check on her. She's just drawing away, just la 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 la, and he tries to get her to come eat. It's not happening. It's a bit of a push and pull kind of thing. And eventually a crayon ends up breaking, and he's just so frustrated. He sits down. He's just like, "Abby, just come on, work with me on this. Please just work with me. Come eat something." And she just looks at him and just goes, "You're sitting on my friend." And he's just like a typical parent. I hate to say, he's like a typical parent. He's just like, "You know what? I'm done. I'm done. You know what? I'm sitting on your friend. I'm getting up. You know what? That's cool. That's cool." He goes to walk out, and he leans in. He's just like, "But you ought to know that little girls who don't eat their dinner stay the same size forever." And she just looks at him, looks at her imaginary friend, looks back at him, and just goes, "My friend says you're an idiot." And he just closes the door. Like, this poor man, this poor man is just trying to live life, and this little girl's not helping. But again, he's not helping the situation either by closing himself off. But again, like you see in this piece of dialogue here, he's trying. He could have just been like, "You know what, Abby, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this right now. I've had a shit day. I'm not dealing with this," and then just storm off. But the fact that he said, "I'm done," goes to walk away, but then softens up the moment by saying that joke, little girls who don't eat their dinner. He's still trying to soften up. But that's not enough for Abby. That's not enough. She's done emotionally shut herself off after losing her dad. I mean, not her dad, her mom. Okay, she might as well have lost her dad, too, because what we find out is that after mom died, dad just like, "I can't deal with this," and ran the hell off. I had different suspicions about that, to be honest. Like, my suspicions is he's dead. He's very much dead. He's dead. But again, we don't have no concrete information about that. So as far as people know, he rented it off. He rented it off. Not just ran off, rented it. So after that little moment between Mike and Abby, he tries to go back to sleep, and we actually get to see what he's been dreaming. And he lays down, he turns a little tape recorder on, there's a bunch of nature sounds, and he takes his pills, and he looks up at the poster of Welcome to Nebraska, and he goes into the dream state. And the dream is basically one night, I guess they were camping, or one day they were camping. Little brother's playing with a little airplane, and his mom steps away to go get a towel, and he's supposed to watch his brother, and he gets distracted for like just a few seconds because somebody threw a frisbee, and as soon as he went to go pick it up, his brother was gone. He starts looking for his brother, and he sees that his brother is now being taken away in the back of a car, and the last thing he sees is his brother with his little airplane looking in the back of the car as he's screaming his name. And he just wakes up just defeated yet again. Like, this is the same cycle he goes through. He puts himself into this mind state because he is so determined to rewrite history. He's so determined somehow to fix this problem, thinking maybe if he finds who took his brother, maybe he can fix his family. I mean, it's a long shot, but again, he's got Abby to worry about. So it's very sad to see him in this state. It really is. So then we cut to the next scene, and Mike's with the social worker and Aunt Jane and the lawyer. Now, I love this lawyer. This lawyer is the greatest thing in this world, because this man looks like Aunt Jane has, like, manhandled him into submission over here, because this man's all sweaty and nervous, and he's just, like, really shocked to be anywhere, like he's alive, and he can't believe what he's hearing. He gets even funnier at the restaurant scene, but just in the scene alone, he's just sitting there holding his briefcase, just like he's not comfortable with anything going on. But Mike's there, and Aunt Jane's like, look at him, this is who the state entrusts my niece to be watched over by this man right here. Mike can barely keep his eyes open. Like, what's this world coming to? This child is special. And she doesn't say, oh God, what was she, mentally challenged, I think is what she calls her. Like, for some reason, she calls her mentally challenged, and the social worker corrects her and says she's not mentally challenged. She's like, oh, explain why else would a kid just draw all day and all night? Like, I don't understand that. And it's rather obvious. Aunt Jane, or Aunt Jane, whatever the fuck her name is, don't care. She don't care at all. She a bitch. I don't like her. And I know who she's supposed to represent. She's supposed to represent Aunt Jane from the books, I do believe, who was supposed to be watching over Charlie throughout this whole time. But I'm not sure how much of a reference she's supposed to be, especially with Vanessa not being the Vanessa from Security Breach. I don't think, anyway, but I'll get there further when I get there. One thing at a time, people. One thing at a time. But, yeah, she's just a bitch. She's literally just, like, chastising Mike about just how he looks, about how she's more fit to be Abby's mother, the guardian. She doesn't say mother, but guardian. And then hands Mike some papers to basically sign over guardianship to her. And she's like, well, yeah, you try to fight me. Me and my lawyer would take you to court, and no judge in his right mind would give you the rights. I would take her away, and you would never see her again. Like, damn. Just damn, like, she cold, okay? She a cold-blooded woman. She is not nice. She is not nice at all. I wish she had a better death. Yeah, plot twist, everybody. She dies. I wish it was better, though. Like, straight up, I wish I could have seen it. She deserved to have an on-screen death for how much of a bitch she was. But then, after that, we cut over to Mike privately talking to the social worker. And the social worker explains to Mike that that he's still got a fighting chance as long as he's looking for a job. And he's just like, no, I mean, she's right. I'm not fit to do this. I mean, look at me. I don't have anything. And Abby, like, I could drop dead right in front of her and she wouldn't care. She'd just keep drawing away. Like, she doesn't like me. And that's when the social worker corrects him. And it's just like, no, the drawings she does hold tremendous powers to children, at least. And you have to look at it. And at every center picture, it's you. It's always you, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it is me, you know. So taking what she said to heart, and, you know, her kind of giving him the push and the courage to go find a job no matter the cost, he ends up calling Steve Raglan back about the job so he can have money to make sure Abby doesn't go anywhere. So Steve lays it out on him on the phone as he's driving up there throughout a minute cut, because remember, this is the 80s, so we don't have cell phones. Everybody's on home phones. But Steve lays it out. He said the place was very huge in the 80s. The owner couldn't let it go, so that's why it hasn't been closed down. You know, the jobs from midnight to 6 a.m. Old dated equipment, but still fully functional. Uh, Not really much to do. All you got to do is just keep the place tidy. You know, make sure no one breaks in. We've had some problems with some vandals in the past and all that. And what's really great about this is as he's going over talking about the information of the building, you know, Mike's walking in and we get to see the building again and more in a ruined state. Like in the opening, I forgot to mention this, but in the opening of the movie, when the security guard gets killed, you know, we pan over a big wide shot from the stage all the way to the entrance of the pizzeria, and we get to see it in its full beautiful glory in the dark with the lights on and just how clean it looks. And then we get to see it now, and it's very dingy and dusty and broken glass everywhere and just cobwebs. It's very dirty, very dirty. But we get to see the creepy atmosphere of this building, how dark it is. But as Mike's going through, he continues to tell him about, you know, the power goes out. Don't forget to flip the switch. It's in the main breaker room, which is where you will be. You know, just keep an eye out on everything and good luck. Hangs up the phone, and Mike sits down to get comfy in his new job. So while he's there looking around, he sees a little training tape that has his name on it. He puts it in, and it's a classic 80s training tape. You know, welcome to your new job at Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, that kind of bullshit. But as it's going over, you know, what he's got to do yet again, it goes into more detail about, you know, the owner or the creator of this fantastic place is somebody who enjoys family fun and animatronics. And so he combined his two passions together, and that it's up to him as the new security guard to not only keep this place safe, but to keep them safe. Which is odd. That's an odd way to word, because he's not talking about the people, because there's no people in this restaurant, but them as in the animatronics, because the animatronics are very important stuff. They're, and you know, they've got the spirits of the kids and the bodies of the kids, which, by the way, plot twist, everybody. Those of y'all who wouldn't know the games, who do know the games, know this ain't a plot twist. I don't know why they try to do like a slow build up with it, but yeah, the bodies are inside the animatronics. So yeah, you got to keep those very safe and make sure no one can find them. But the tape does glitch out a little bit as he's trying to watch, especially when the animatronics are trying to perform. It glitches out and he hits the TV and he goes back to normal. And then, you know, after he ends it, he goes up to the locker to go get his nice new security vest. And we get a funny jump scare from Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy's this little statue. And as he opens the locker, he's just sitting there staring at him, and he's like, Jesus! And then he just turns him around like I don't want to deal with it right now. Just, no. Grabs the little vest, and he starts taking a look around the building. And it's very creepy. It's very, very creepy. He hears something behind the curtain, of course, and then we get kind of our first glimpse of the animatronics. Because at this point, we haven't really seen them in action per se, and we actually haven't seen them in person. We've seen, of course, Shadow Foxy. That's it. That's all we saw was the shadow of Foxy in that doorway in the beginning of the movie. We haven't seen them at all. So when Mike goes behind the curtain to check the weird noise, of course he gets startled because he wasn't expecting anything behind the curtain, and there stands Bonnie. And we get a good look at Bonnie, and then we see Chica, and he takes a good look around. And we get like a decent first good glimpse at them. And then as a non-horror movie fan, or let me rephrase that, as a horror movie goer watching this movie, I thought this was a really good glimpse into what's going to become. We get to see the size of these things, we get to see what these things are, and we know these are the main stars of this movie. So this is like a good creepy introduction to them. But as a FNAF fan, I thought this was still a good creepy introduction of them as well, because again, we get to see them for the first time. Yeah, we don't get to see them moving, but we finally get to look at them, and it's like, oh, they're there, and they're creepy. Holy shit! Like, after Mike sees that, of course, Mike goes back to work and he falls asleep. Man cannot stay awake to save his life. But as he's sleeping, weird static noises start happening over the speaker. Like somebody's whispering. Somebody's talking in their sleep just about. Because as that's crackling, we didn't go into Mike's dream again. And of course we see everything play out like it did the first time. But this time, when he turns around, there's 5 children standing there, looking at him. He walks up to them and he's just like, Did you just see what happened? Do you know who took my brother? Can someone explain to me what's going on? Like, did y'all see what happened? Who took Garrett? And as soon as he says that, the kids spread out and run. So he goes to chase after him. And unfortunately, he trips over something and knocks himself awake by falling out the chair. And of course, time's up, clock out, go home. So as he takes all this in, because again, that's the first time why he's dreaming. That's the first time why he's dreaming that this has happened. Usually it plays out the same way as per usual as we saw the first time around. But now we got these weird kids magically showing up. So he's a little taken aback by that. 'Cause that's a new detail he has not seen yet. But he ends up driving back home, and of course Max is there waiting for him, and she's trying to have a casual conversation like, hey, how was your job? Your first day, was it great? And he's just like, yeah, it's a pretty weird place. Where's Abby? She's asleep. And he goes to check on her, and right before that, though, Max gets up and he goes, hey Max, listen, I promised to pay you. I promise. I need to get my head above the water here. And she's like, yeah, hey, I get it. Max being like the sensible person, being that shoulder he can lean on, being that person we all like, because she just seems so innocent in this whole moment. We'll get there when we get there. So Mike goes to check on Abby, and of course she's asleep, and he pulls back, her hair, kind of sweep it away from her face so he can look at her, and you just see him smile, which means he's happy. He's happy, like he's home, she's here. This is great. You can see that he's not burdened by her. He's not drained down by her. He really wants her to be happy. And I like that. Usually in these dynamics, when it comes to older sibling having to take care of a younger sibling, nobody's happy all the way around because no one wants to take care of each other. And that's not the case at all. Mike wants to take care of her. He's just emotionally detached at this moment. So we cut down to the Sparky restaurant scene. First of all, we find out that sweet Max, who I was just showering with affection just a few seconds ago. Yeah, no, she's a double agent here. She's working for Aunt Jane. Aunt Jane has hired her to dig up fucking evidence on Mike to make him look like an unfit guardian. But luckily, Max, being a good person she is, has not forged any kind of information. It's just been like, yeah, no, things are going great. Your your niece is fantastic, and Mike sleeps a lot. But before we get into that full conversation, let's talk about the cameo. So, we get, hi, welcome to Sparky's, and it's fucking Matt Pat standing there, just smiling, and he hands the menus, and she just takes them all back, like, no, we're not ordering anything. Well, they do say lunch is the most important meal of the day. You heard that? I thought it was breakfast. Well, that's what they say, but it is a theory. He said the line. I knew he was going to say that line, though. I was like, there's no way. Were you going to have Matt Pat in a movie cameo, and he's not going to say it's just a theory? He has to say, it's got to be somewhere in his contract. He has to say it's just a theory, at least one time. Doesn't matter how he says it. He just got to say it. But they shoo him away, and we had the conversation, like I was just saying, we find out about Max working for Aunt Jane. And, of course, the lawyer's there. And she's just like, I need to get rid of him. And I don't know if this is Max's brother or boyfriend or what he is to Max. Doesn't matter. This douchebag just goes, well, why don't we kill him? Make things easier. And the lawyer's like, I really shouldn't be hearing this. And tries to get up. And she's like, sit down. As tempting as that is, no. Like, the lawyer just does not want, because he tries to get up several times and she won't let him. Like, he's like, I really shouldn't be hearing any of this. Like, seriously, guys, I shouldn't. I'm a lawyer. But they end up going back and forth trying to figure out what they can do. And they come up with the best solution is, since he's a security guard who's got to keep people out, why don't they have them break in, trash the place, steal from them. Mike gets blamed for it, gets fired, loses custody. Aunt Jane wins. They get paid $2,000. And then Aunt Jane goes, I'll pay you $1,000 and you do the job right. And they go, okay, done deal. Yeah, not very much good negotiators, are they? They're not very good at negotiating. They're just like, all right, 1,000, done deal. Like, you couldn't at least try to haggle with her? Maybe say like 1,800, 1,500. No, just 1,000. Like, seriously? What you gonna do with $1,000, man? Ain't much with that. Maybe buy a month worth of groceries. Pay a month worth of your bills. That's about it. Pay half your bills. There you go. But yeah, that's their whole plan. So they get what they get later on. They get what they get. So Mike, we did cut to Mike getting ready for work, and as he's getting ready, he's for some reason is grabbing his Nebraska poster, and Abby comes in wearing his little vest, going, "What are you doing?" "I'm getting ready for work." "I'm going to need my vest back." "No, because I'm going with you." "No, you're not." "Yes, I am." And they get into a little tug of war match, and eventually he gets Abby into the bedroom and gets his vest back, and Max shows up and he's like, she's all yours, and heads off to work. And while at work, again, Mike, instead of working, tries to go to sleep. I shouldn't say try, he does go to sleep. He winds up going to sleep, and while he's going to sleep, we get a little Shadow Foxy action going on again, where we see the shadow of Foxy just looming in the doorway, being ever so creepy after moving around in a couple of POV shots of him. Or as of him, I should say. And while he is sleeping, we had the same cutscene again of the dream and then the kid standing there. And this time, he acknowledged the fact that this doesn't make sense. He's just like, I don't know how y'all are here. I don't know why y'all are here. But, can you tell me what happened to my brother? Can you tell me exactly what happened? Yeah, who took my brother? Who took Garrett? And yet again, of course, the kids flank out, all spread out. He goes chasing after the kid who's Foxy. How do we know it's Foxy? Because he's got a little hook, and he slashes at Mike, and Mike jerks it back, and his arm is bleeding, and he looks at the kid, and the kid screams with blood, black goo running down his eyes like the crying child over here, and he jolts awake, freaking out because the power's now freaking out. We have a nice little nod to "It's me" written on the mirror. I like that. And we hear "Talking in Your Sleep" playing in the background, and he's just freaking out, so he has to turn the lights off and the back on again, doing that shenanigans. And after he gets that taken care of, we then hear the front doorbell ring. He looks over and he sees the police officer, so he goes out there, and it's Vanessa. It's our beautiful girl, Vanessa. She's just like, "Hi, this is on my route. I'd like to stop by." "Oh my God, you're bleeding." "I know where to keep the med kits." Now, I figured that itself was a strange line. Now, granted, I know it comes with the fact that we find out the twist is she's Afton's daughter. But when I first saw this, and she was just like, "Hey, I know where the med kits are," I'm just like, how do you know this? You're a police officer. You don't work here. I mean, I get you come around a lot, but how often are you in this place, and why are you in this place? So it got my gears already turning to begin with. And even Mike questioned that. He's like, "How do you know where these med kits are?" And she's like, "Oh, I used to come here a lot as a kid," and la la la. Like, even though you wouldn't have access to a med kit as a child, and even still, that wouldn't be your job, because that would be staff duties right there, not your duties, especially if you were a customer. So again, gets your gears turning, gets your gears thinking. But while she's patching them up, she does make a comment that she's a medic, so if he's ever in trouble, she can patch him up. And once she gets done, she then confronts him, and it's just like, "Hey, Mike, right? Mike, are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. Why would I not be fine? Well, your eyes are bloodshot, your palm is sweating, you got a mysterious cut in your hand, you're acting fidgety. What's going on, Mike? And he just looks at it and he's just like, it's just been a weird night. And she's just like, okay, that's understandable. I can kind of get that. And she sits down and then proceeds to tell him that he's probably going to quit. She even states that you're going to quit. Because they all quit, you know, a lot turn out, you know, people come and go. Do you see yourself doing this in 10 years? And then she proceeds to ask him, has he met the gang yet? Or not really the gang, but she's like, have you met them? Met who? And she takes him into the main room with the stage and everything. And she's just like, yeah, you know, you're going to love this, absolutely love this. And then somehow slips in information about, you know, missing kids are the reason why this place shut down. And she's like, yeah, this place was really great as a kid. I used to love coming here. Then those missing kids happened. Then the place had to get shut down. Are you ready for the show? And Mike's just like, wait, what? Could you go back to that last thing you just said? What about missing kids? And, you know, she just blows them off. And she's like, prepare to have your mind blown. She pushes the button. And the curtains open, and we see them in action doing their little stage routine with talking in your sleep, singing. And we see everybody moving, and it's beautiful. It's great. I'm kind of with her, you know. It's mind-blowing. It's honestly mind-blowing to see them live action standing there. And now, as a FNAF fan, my dick was rock hard. Like, straight up, I was like, this is a fantastic introduction to them, you know, actually seeing them perform as they're supposed to be as animatronics. I love it. As a casual moviegoer, I also thought this was a good way to introduce them, because we get to see what their functionality was supposed to be, which is supposed to be on stage, playing guitar, singing and stuff. You know, we actually get to see them in action. We now get to see them in full scale with lights on and everything. So we do get to see the enormous size of them. Like, when we first saw them, we kind of get a glimpse of what they look like. Here, we get to see them in full scale. Which, again, they're a very intimidating piece of machinery. They really are. Like, I want to say, I looked at the heights of all these guys at one point when I was playing at Help Wanted. And they're tall. I think like 6'5", 6'6". Like, I think Bonnie stands up the tallest because of the ears. But it's ridiculous how tall these things are. Like, these things would tower over me. I'm 5'4", okay? I'm 5'4 and a half. And I count that half, okay? Like, don't play with me on that. My half counts. I'm 5'4 and a half, though. Those things would tower over me. Like, even Balloon Boy would probably be my... Okay, actually, I think Balloon Boy is a little bit shorter than me. But the point is, these animatronics are huge, and we get to see them in scale here on the stage. And unfortunately, Bonnie glitches out, little sparks happen, the show's over, and then Mike goes back to his initial question, which, by the way, before the show went over, and she was just like, it's the greatest thing you've ever to see, right? Do you care to dance? And Mike's just... flabbergasted. He's just like, what the hell is going on here? She's too overly giddy. We got animatronics doing some weird shit. Like, what the hell? And then, you know, the show's over, and he's just like, so what's that thing about missing kids? Like, do you mind explaining? And she's like, oh, you didn't do your homework, did you? Yeah, it's the whole reason this place got shut down. And he's just like, could you, you know, maybe explain it? And she kind of brushes him off. She's like, oh, you're missing your badge. She goes behind the little prize counter, pulls out a little Freddy Fazbear security badge, pins them on him, and it's just like, there you go. Now your uniform is set. And she walks him out. It's daytime. I guess his shift is over magically for some strange reason. And she's just like, hey, Mike, don't let this place get to you, okay? Just keep your head down, do your job, you should be fine. Oh, have a good night, and then drives off. And as Mike is driving off, we didn't see Max's brother, maybe boyfriend, fellow, I don't know what his relationship is to her, standing there, and he calls her and informs Max that Mike's on his way home, and he found a perfect place to break in. We then cut to the break-in. Now, I absolutely love this scene. Like, I knew what trouble was brewing in this place as soon as they walked in. As a FNAF fan, I knew exactly what they were about to walk into, and I was super excited to see the outcome. As a casual horror movie fan, I was super excited to see the outcome because these are dumbass people who deserve this horrible thing happening to them because they're trying to get a good man fired because they work for a bitch. So no matter what, I was super excited about this scene. So, of course, they come in, they're like, alright, make it quick, make it fast, efficient, but fast. Got it, got it. And they spread out, and he starts, like, smashing the arcade machines, flipping over tables. They're robbing the coins, which, by the way, why there's so many coins still in the gumball machines and stuff, I don't know. But they're just stealing coins. I'm sure it's like several hundred, maybe about $100, maybe a couple $100 in there. The point is, why there's so many coins. But as they're destroying and causing chaos, one of them's in the kitchen and sees the refrigerator move. So he goes to investigate, and as he investigates the refrigerator, we see Cupcake just sitting there, and he's just like, the hell? And then Cupcake's eyes open, and he's just like, the hell? And backs up, and he gets distracted by something behind him, so he turns around and turns back, and of course Cupcake's missing. Like, where did Cupcake go? And he looks back again when he hears something else move, and there's Chica standing there as Cupcake is on her platter, and they're both looking at him with the most aggressive eyes ever. Now, another reason why I like this scene is because it shows you how the kids feel about this place. They're not necessarily killing people because they want to kill people, because again we find out Afton's been controlling them. Now Afton's probably not aware of these people breaking in, so how would he be able to tell the kids to hurt these people and kill these people if they broke in? So this shows you the kids have a high respect for this place. This place is their home to them. These bad men just broke into their place and is destroying their home. Thus is why they attacked. And I like that because it does show you that the kids themselves do choose to act in violence and knowing their own strength because they're willing to protect. But again, these aren't innocent people. These are bad people. These people deserve the punishment they're about to receive here. So I mean, I like that as a character development moment there. And I also like the fact that, again, like I said, we know Afton is controlling them. That's why he probably tells them to kill the security guard if he gets too close to finding out information. Like, I'm willing to bet the opening security guard probably ended up maybe finding a body in in one of the suits or something, freaked him out, so they attacked him because he got too close. And like Afton said, if he gets too close, kill him off. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what ended up getting him killed. But for this scenario, this situation, I feel like it's the kids doing it themselves because they're protecting their home. They're protecting Freddy's. This is their sanctuary, their domicile. Like Bubba, these people trespass, they get what they get. So because the dude's just standing there, and Chica's standing there, Cupcake attacks and lunges on his face and starts mutilating his face all up. And he's screaming and is muffled and everything, and his buddy hears that and he comes running around the corner and he sees Cupcake on the dude's face. And instead of doing anything, now here's the funniest part. This man here, the guy who's getting eaten by Cupcake, he's just skinny little tyke, no big deal. The guy who's Max's brother and or boyfriend, he's a decent sized guy, he's not easily intimidated. But this guy right here, standing here right now, he's a biker guy. Like, big biker guy. Beard, got the tattoos, he's got the look. Like, this man looks like, he would walk out of a biker bar and beat the hell out of you. He looks like that type. This man sees this shit, right? He sees what's going on. Looks at Chica, who's still standing there, by the way, holding her little tray, and she, with the creepiest turn, looks at him and just glares at him with like this evil intent. And this man, in the girliest scream ever, starts screaming, takes off, running through the restaurant, just freaking the hell out the entire time. And Max's brother and or boyfriend looks at the security footage and goes, what the hell is he running from? And he sees the man run into a closet and close the door. And he's freaking out. And, of course, it's dark in this closet. So he goes to reach up for the light because he hears his buddy calling his name. And he can't get out of the closet now because now the closet is magically locked on the inside because magic closet. But as he's reaching for the light, you see two glowing eyes behind him as the light it's having problems coming on, but eventually he grabs it and flicks it on for good. And he regrets that decision because as soon as he does that, he turns around and sees Bonnie in the corner. Now, we don't get to see exactly what happens, but we know the man screams and a bloody handprint just lands on the window, slides down. Honestly, I think Bonnie probably grabbed him by the head and maybe it, squished his head in or something. I don't know. I just hope something cool happens. But the point is, the man screams, the other dude shows up, and he's looking at the door. And the door creaks open. We just see the bloody handprint on the window. And then we hear Bonnie take a few steps out with that cool animatronic mecha kind of noise as Bonnie takes each step. And then slowly Bonnie looks at him, and he goes, "Oh, hell no," and takes off running. And as he's running, of course, he's dropping coins, kind of leaving like a little bread trail to let everybody know where he's at. And he runs to the security office again and closes the door, and he locks it, and he notices that there's nobody on the cameras until he looks at the last camera, and there is Bonnie and Chica standing there next to a vent, and Chica just puts Cupcake down to run into the vents. So he panics, runs to the vents, and as soon as he gets to the vents, Cupcake starts attacking the vent and just going ham. And he's like freaking out, trying to stop it. He's screaming. Oh my God, this man is dying on the inside. Ow, my knee just died right there. Oh, that hurt. I'm having that Peter Griffin moment. Ooh, yeah, no, I caught like that perfect little bump on your knee, on just perfectly on the corner of my desk right there. Ooh, that hurt. Anyway, he's freaking out. Cupcake's attacking. He can't get through though, so eventually Cupcake gives up, and he sees the door open a little bit, so he thinks that's his window of opportunity to get out. So he jumps up, and he realizes, I might have fucked up here. The door closes though before he realizes this, so he panics and runs down the same hallway the security guy ran down, and tries to open the door yet again, and it's not opening because people are not putting their full body weight to it. Like, start football checking this shit. Like, pull a Leland from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, shoulder check somebody. But then this time we get to see what it looked like from the security guard perspective when Foxy attacks. So we see Foxy walk up, humming his little tune, by the way. He's humming his little tune. He's like, bum ba dum be dum ba dum. Yeah, that little tune. And we see him slowly walking as the light is flickering, and then he lunges in for attack, and then that's it. That's it for them. That's it. Game over. Game over. Except for Max. Max, for some reason, has been sitting outside this entire time, and decides now it's a perfectly good time to go in. So as she goes in, and she sees that nobody's really around. The place is messed up, but nobody's really around. So what's going on? And as she's investigating, she sees the little blonde-haired ghost child. And he's like, "Come with me. Follow me." And for some stupid-ass reason, she follows him. Now, the reason why I say that's a stupid-ass reason is, one, you know, there is nobody else in this building except you and your friends, okay? You know for a fact there's nobody else in this building but you and your friends. And yet, a mysterious child has come out of nowhere and said, "Follow me." I would walk the hell out. Second of all, you know this place is abandoned. And this child does not look like he lives here because he's too clean cut. So, why would you follow this kid again? And thirdly, the fact that you can't find your friends and you decide to follow a kid instead of, maybe backing out, maybe calling them, go to a payphone or something. I don't know, maybe scream out their names. "Hey guys, where are y'all? Hello, hello." If that didn't work, just walk out and go, "Well, I guess I'll never see them again. Let's go back to Mike." Like, there was options here, but she decided to follow the ghost child instead. Shame on her for being stupid. But she follows this ghost child, and this ghost child takes her to the, the storage room or something, where they keep all the animatronic parts. It's basically the room where the security guard got his face mutilated in the beginning of the movie. And she walks in, though, and there's fucking Freddy standing there, menacingly. Like, no joke, he's just standing there, and she's like, "What the hell?" And then you just hear, "Warmer." And she looks up and like, "What? what? She takes a couple of steps, getting warmer. Now, see, right there, that would have been my cue to get the hell out. Like, a kid has magically disappeared and he's playing cold and warmer with me. Oh hell no! There are several games you don't play with children in the middle of the night, especially in the middle of an abandoned place. Hot and cold is not one of those games you play with them. Okay, you can play with Ouija board with them and you can play ball with them, but you cannot play hot and cold because that never ends well for anybody who plays that game with children, especially ghost children. But for some reason, she continues to follow the sounds of the child saying warmer. She grabs a little stool, puts it in front of Freddy. She stands up. She starts looking into the mouth of the animatronic, getting very close. So this is a very tense-filled moment here, because I knew exactly what was about to happen. And it happened. It happened. I really wish this was rated R. I'm sure this scene would have been fantastic. Oh my god, could you imagine the scene in rated R? This whole entire scene. Not just her death right here, but the rest of them. Okay, so Cupcake's on the man's face, right? And when the biker guy comes around the corner, you just see blood coming out of Cupcake's mouth as he's mutilating. You just hear like the gargling sounds of him choking on his own blood. And then imagine what Bonnie was doing in that closet. Maybe grabbing him by the throat or by the head and just like crushing it in. Like, we could have just seen that. And then, what they probably did with the Max's boyfriend, maybe brother kind of guy. Like, there were options here. With this was a pretty good kill. I like this kill. It's the most violent kill in the movie, though. And again, it would have been so much cooler in rated R because we could have seen some blood and maybe some screams and some angle effects or something. But unfortunately, we get kind of more of a basic generic version of this kill. But as she's looking in and leaning in to see where this voice is coming from, a hand comes out of the mouth and pulls her in. And then it clumps down, basically cutting her in half. And we see this all done in shadow forms on the wall. And then we pan to her legs just dropping in front of us. End of the crew. End of this crew. Do I feel sorry for them? No. Do I wish their deaths was better? Yes. Like I said, this is where that horror movie buff in me really wish this was a rated R movie. Just imagine the practical effects they could have done. They maybe could have had a scene where the guy, Cupcake's on his face, so he rips off Cupcake, and we get a good look at his face, and we just see it covered in blood and cuts and stuff, and he's just screaming, and then, Chica could have came up behind him, and, they could have took the tray and, beat him with it or something. Oh my god, there were options here. There were so many options. But PG-13. PG-fucking-13. Anyway, we then cut to Mike with Abby, and he sits down and gives her the little badge right here, and he's just like, look what I got for work, you want it? She looks at it and just goes, and then puts it down, and Mike, again, feeling kind of defeated, because she's got walls built up, he's got walls built up, but you can see he's slowly trying to take these walls down, where Abby's kind of keeping her walls up. So he, out of frustration and probably just depression at this point, grabs the badge, goes to the little drawer, struggles to open it, throws it in, puts it in, just puts his hands down, puts his head down. He's just like, Abby, I'm trying here. I'm trying here. And he just walks off. That was enough to get to Abby right there. Just that sigh, that look of desperation and sadness, the fact that he just openly and verbally just speaks out and says, Abby, I'm trying here. Work with me. I can't work with you if you can't work with me. I'm trying to now be emotionally available. I need you to be emotionally available now. I need you to take those walls down. And he said that all with, Abby, I'm trying here. I'm really trying. Because that gets to Abby. So she stops drawing. She goes over to the drawer, and of course she struggles to get the drawer because she now wants the badge. I'm assuming that's what she was trying to get, was the badge again. But unfortunately, we don't get that far because the drawer, struggling to open, falls out in front of her, and she sees the papers. Because Mike has them put the papers that Aunt June wants him to sign to give her custody in that drawer as well. And we see that when he puts the badge down. He's like, Abby, are you okay? And she's just sitting there. And the first words out of her mouth is the most heartbreaking but most realist thing a child in her situation can say. I'm sorry. Now, I know that's a simple, small line, just I'm sorry. But you gotta think of it as a character development moment here. She just now seen these papers, and these papers specifically state giving custody over from Mike to Aunt June. Mike has these papers, and she knows she's being a little bit of a hard ball to work with. She knows she's being a bit of a struggle. So her seeing these papers is like a realization to her that she's being a bit of a brat, and she needs to calm down. So when she sees Mike and she's got the papers in her hands, I'm sorry is the first words out of her mouth, because she genuinely is sorry. Like, she doesn't mean to be putting these walls up, but she's sorry. And of course, he's like, Abby, it's not what you think. She's like, are you going to get rid of me? Are you going to give me the Aunt Jane? I hate her. Don't do that. I hate her. And he kind of laughs at her, and he's just like, oh, we can finally agree on something. I hate her too. And she says that she smells like cigarettes. I like that. I hate her. She smells like cigarettes. Like, damn. Shots fired at the smokers right there. As I take a hit of my vape. But he tries to explain to her, no, it's not like that. He's not going to give her up. But unfortunately, before he can finish that statement, he's interrupted by the doorbell. And as soon as he gets to the door, he sees that it's Vanessa standing there, needing to talk to him. And of course, she's like, oh my God, you didn't tell me you had a daughter. No, this is my sister. Oh, it's good to see you. Mike, we need to talk. Are you here to arrest Mike? Go, Abby, go play in your room. Just go play in your room. What do we need to talk about? And of course, he comes outside, and she explains to him about the break-in and about how she found his sleeping pills, and that she needs an explanation right now before she writes in the report, because it does not look good, and that he's liable for the damage since these pills are found, which means he's sleeping on the job, which means it's neglect, which means he will get fired. So she needs to understand what the hell's going on. So they go for a walk. And that's when he sits down and explains to her his whole reasoning behind everything he's doing, about his brother being kidnapped, and about why he's taking the pills. And basically, to sum it up, it's like I said earlier in the podcast, he's doing this because he thinks some key information of who might have kidnapped his brother, or some details about that day, is in his brain. He thinks if he sleeps hard enough and dreams hard enough, he can find it. And that's just why he uses the Welcome to Nebraska sound, to help help him centralize that feeling there, the sounds of nature, because they were outside. The sleeping pills just help him focus and everything. And the entire time, he's telling this to her. Vanessa's very understanding. She's just like, Mike, I seem crazy and you're not crazy. And then he explains to talk about his parents, because she asks, it's just you and Abby now. And she's like, and he's explaining, my mom died, Dad ran off, so it is just us. I'm all she's got. And her look. It's like she understands what he's going through, but kind of yearns for it at the same time, because as they're talking, he proceeds to talk about how his parents, before his dad ran off, they used to be the cookie cutter family, TV dinners every night, they watch sitcom stuff together, be cheesy, but it was their life. And she's like, yeah, I can understand that. It was something, it's almost like it's something she wished she had. It's something she wished she could strive to have, but, being the child of William Afton, I'm sure that was not a pleasurable experience. And I'll get to that later on when we talk about near the end of the movie, because there's something that happens that makes me think she saw a lot going on in her life, and she definitely did not have a normal childhood living with Afton. But he proceeds to, she proceeds to tell him, he needs to focus on Abby. Don't worry about the past. Just let it go. Takes the pills, throws them into the water, and tells them, when you're at Freddy's, you stay focused. You don't sleep. And she gets a little call, so she's got to go back into work. And she takes on off. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. Poor Mike. Poor Mike in this next scene. Because this answers that one question I had while I was watching the trailer. I was like, how and why is somebody bringing a kid into this rundown building? Like, did this kid just break in? This explains why the kid was in this building. So Mike tries to call Max, but he doesn't know Max is dead. So unfortunately, she doesn't get through. So he's got to bring his sister along. So he tells Abby, when they get in, that this is not a vacation. This is not funsy. She goes in there. She sleeps while he works. Deal, deal. So he makes her a little tent, which I thought was super cute. He makes her a little tent, make her comfortable. And they do see the damage that these people have done. But he gets her to sleep, and she makes a comment saying, it's almost like camping. And it kind of, I guess, makes him happy and sad at the same time, because it is a memory for them to have. But also reminds him of his brother Garrett, because they went camping too on his last trip before he got kidnapped. But while she's asleep, he proceeds to take care of the building. He starts cleaning up the glass, the flip tables, the stuff thrown on the floor and everything. But while he's cleaning, he notices, because he's in the closet where Bonnie killed that one guy at, and he sees just a little bit of blood on the rim of the window, which means the handprint itself was clean. Which means somebody has come in and cleaned up the blood and the bodies, which of course is Vanessa. With probably the help of the children as well, unfortunately. I don't want to think about that. But he sees the blood, but he just carries on. He cleans up, gets the play fall spiffy, looks nice. So after he accomplishes his 2-3 hour goal, he decides, nap time. So he goes to sleep. Man does not know how to say a way to save his life. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. So as he is sleeping, poor. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to make a mention. This is when he's in the closet getting the stuff before he sees the blood's cleaned up from the window and all that. We have another Balloon Boy jump scare. For some reason, there's a statue in there, and he does the same exact thing too. He grabs it and turns it around. Like, nope. But while he's sleeping, being lazy on his job, Abby's awakened by a little boy whispering her name. And of course, she gets up and she sees Mike's asleep. He won't wake up, so she says, I'll be right back. Runs off to the bathroom. While in the bathroom, we go to Mike. Oh, no, wait, hang on. She comes back from the bathroom, and as she's going back towards the office to go back to sleep, she hears something behind the curtains. Now, I thought this was a great scene because it inverted my expectations. I thought they were going to maybe mess with the little girl or something, maybe like spook her, not really do anything. But this scene played out really intensified. Like, intensified? Oh, even the word? Intensified. There we go. That's a word. The scene was very intense, though. So she hears a noise back there. So she goes to the front of the stage. She's looking into the hole in the curtain that's open up. And she's like, I know you're back there. Why don't you come on out? And Freddy fucking walks out. Like, straight up. You just see the eyes glow. And he just steps out in front of her. And I was just like, oh my God. What's about to happen? Unfortunately, we don't get to find out just quite yet, because we cut to Mike's dream. And of course, we're back to him sitting in front of the kids. And this time, instead of all 5 kids there, it's just a little blonde boy, and he's drawing in the dirt. And this is the scene that let me know that Garrett was taken by Afton. Because he's drawing in the dirt, and he looks at the little boy, and he's just like, I don't know how any of this is possible, because y'all are dead. But if you could tell me any information about my missing brother, anything, just tell me. And the little boy stops drawing, stands up, and goes, what would you give us? Excuse me? If I was to tell you what we know, what would you give us? Anything you want. And as soon as that happens, you hear a scream, which is Abby's scream, and he, wakes up. But we cut before he wakes up to the drawing the little boy was doing, and it was a picture of the yellow rabbit. Now, something else I forgot to mention about the opening credits is while we're going over the view of the whole pizzeria, we cut over to a board with a bunch of drawings on it, and the main drawing in the middle are the 5 missing kids holding hands with a yellow rabbit. So the drawing we see is of that exact yellow rabbit. The exact drawing and everything. That's when I knew, Afton took Garrett. That's a shame. That's a real shame right there. But then that started putting pieces together for me. Like, it makes sense now why Mike's there, why Afton brought him here. Okay, makes sense. But he wakes up and he hears Abby screaming, so he runs in thinking she needs help. And all the animatronics are just gathered around Abby. So he goes, "You get away from her," and he grabs a chair. And this moment was super intense because I was just like, "Oh, he gonna die. He gonna get his ass kicked by a fucking animatronic twice as big as him," because Freddy was charging at him. Freddy was mad as hell. Like, how dare you interrupt us while we were doing our sacred ritual over here? And Abby has to step in, and Mike's got a chair up to defend himself against the animatronic. And Abby runs up, and she's like, Mike, come meet everybody. These are my friends. Guys, this is my brother Mike." And then suddenly they all kind of detense a little bit. They're not as aggressive as they were. And she's like, "Come meet the rest of them." And she pulls them in, and then she starts naming them. She's like, "Here's Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and Freddy." And he just can't believe this. Like, he's just standing around like, "Alright, guys, this is a great joke. This is funny. Ha ha ha. Come on out. Y'all are controlling this, obviously, right? Guys, hello?" And everybody's just looking at him like, "No, man, what you're seeing is what you're getting right here. We are ghost children inside of animatronics." And he's just like, "Okay, Abby, we gotta go. We gotta go." She's like, "Okay, hang on. They love drawing." She draws them a little picture, a little heart. And she, gives it to Bonnie, and Bonnie holds it. And she's like, "Thank you guys for playing with me. It was so much fun." Then she hugs Freddy. And she's like, "Bye, we'll play later." Skips on off with Mike, and Mike's just like, "The fuck just happened here?" I'm just like, none of this just happened. Like, I'm scared because they were just too casual and too nice. They were just like way too casual. But what was very creepy though was that the entire time they kept eyeballing Mike. Not like in a mean, vicious way, but they were just like, "Hey, bud," like a "Hey, bud, I'm watching you" kind of look. Like, they weren't sure about how to feel about Mike. Which I think, honestly, they should like Mike because Mike cleaned up the place. Mike made it look nice. Mike did good things. So they end up going home, and of course Abby falls asleep, so he's got to take her into the house, and he lays her down, and he's sitting down in front of her desk, taking everything that just happened in. And as he's looking around at her drawings, he then realizes that it's not only him in these drawings, but it's the other kids. She's been drawing the kids from the restaurant this entire time, and he's just like, "Holy shit, what's going on?" Like, he's starting to put the puzzle pieces together. So when she wakes up, he's making her breakfast, and he's like, "Listen, we need to talk about last night. So your friends, are they really ghosts?" "Yeah, they're really ghosts. I mean, how else would they move?" Like I said, everything is straight to the point, straightforward. What you see is what you get. Like I said with the Aunt Jane comment, Mike said she only wants Abby for the money. That's literally it. She only wants Abby for the money. These ghost kids are inside the animatronics. It's exactly as it states. The ghosts are possessing the animatronics. Simple as that. Now, the difference is, though, we know what happened to these kids. We don't know what happened with Aunt Jane, why she needs the money. But the thing is, we don't care about Aunt Jane. Aunt Jane is a non-important character. She's just there to be an antagonist because she's a fucking bitch. The kids, however, that's important to the story and the lore here about figuring out what happened to them. But I digress. Anyway, he sits down and they talk about about last night. And one of the things he brought up is a picture. And this picture is not just a regular picture. It's not one of the pictures of the kids. But when he unfolds it, it's a picture of his brother going missing. And he gives it to her and goes, "Do you know who this is?" She just shakes her head, and he leans in and he gets like, Abby, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad. I promise. Tell me what this is." This is when Garrett got taken. Which means the kids know about Garrett being taken. which was another clue and identification that something was going on here, and that was definitely connected to Freddy Fazbear's. So again, more information that Afton took Garrett. Anyway, why they're talking about that? He does end up talking about Garrett. And he does make a mention about the fact that he doesn't really talk about Garrett much, and neither did his parents. And that she shouldn't know any of this information. That's one of the first things, Eric was like, didn't anybody tell her about her brother? Probably, but not to this extent that she drew a picture of him being kidnapped and the exact color of that vehicle and everything with the airplane. She wouldn't know about the airplane. That'd be useless information to her. But she's got this picture. And he asked, how does your friends know about this? And she's like, I don't know. They don't really talk much about that. That all they talk about is the yellow rabbit. And so he's like, well, could you maybe talk to them about it? Maybe ask them about this? Could they maybe help me out? And she's just like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. So then we cut to later on that night, and we see Vanessa standing there looking at the pictures on the wall, and she's looking at the yellow rabbit, and she can hear children singing, "We love the yellow rabbit. We love the yellow rabbit. We love him." And it kind of lets me think that Vanessa, like I said, she saw a lot. I mean, not just the kids being taken, but she saw from beginning to end what Afton did. Probably getting good with the kids, buying their trust, earning their trust, watching them get taken, watching them get killed, and watching them get stuffed. And like I said, I'll get on near the ending of why I think all this. But she's hearing all this as Mike and them was pulling up, and he looks at Abby, and he's like, "Abby, if I told you to stay in the car, would you?" "Nope." She gets out, and she's like, "Look, Vanessa's here. The guys like them. They all say she's very nice." Which means Vanessa's aware of what's going on, and she too talks to the kids. Which also gets you thinking, what do they talk about on a daily basis? I can only imagine what Afton and them talk about on a daily basis. But she walks in, and of course she runs in. She's like, "Hi, Vanessa. Hi, guys. I missed you. It's so great." High-fiving them and stuff. And Mike's just looking at her like, you knew about this. She's like, "Oh, you figured this out? You figured this out, buddy." And he's just like, "Why didn't you not tell me that the ghosts are possessing animatronics?" I know, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. And then, as they're chit-chatting, Abby comes up to them and is just like, guys, we have a plan. We have a plan, and puts down a little drawing of a fort. Then we have a classic 80s montage of the kids just being kids. They're building a little fort, goofing off. Bonnie falls out at some point, gives a little thumbs up. They're it's got a little cute music in the background. It's literally like an 80s montage right here. Straight up an 80s montage. It's adorable, yes. And like I said, there's two ways you can look at the scene. It's either the kids trying to lure Mike into a false sense of security and trying to buy his trust by goofing off with Abby. Or you can take it, and this is how I take it, the kids just being kids. They're just having fun with Abby, goofing off, being them silly selves. But it's still a silly scene nonetheless. And I get it's PG-13. They probably added the scene just so the kids can say, "We hung out with Freddy, woo," all that bullshit. But as a horror movie goer fan, I did not like the scene. I thought it was goofy, it was silly, it ruined the tension of the movie. But again, not my target demographic. I'm not the target demographic here at all. But yeah, overall, I thought it was just a silly scene. I thought it was a silly scene. I get it, but just a silly scene. So after that, they're all just sitting around. And we got this cute little moment of, I think we saw the drawing in the trailer of it, of them all just sitting around underneath the fort. But Abby makes a comment that it's gonna rain, so Vanessa's like, "I want to go get the oh god, tablecloth." That's it. I'm about to call it curtain for some strange reason. But she's like, "We're gonna get the tablecloth," and she walks off. And of course, Mike's got to follow her, and it's just like, "All right, Vanessa, tell me what exactly is going on here." because we all know she's very knowledgeable on what's going on. Because again, we made the statement about the fact that she knows where all the med kits are at. She said that she spent a lot of time here as a child, or not a child, but she spent a lot. I know she did say as a child she spent a lot of time here, and the fact that she knows where these tablecloths are. Now again, this is all stuff people who work in the restaurant should know. See, again, more red flags, clear flags of who Vanessa is, which again, I'm surprised at this point that I didn't catch on to this as quickly as I should have, like straight up. But I didn't take my own advice when watching the movie. But as they're chit-chatting, they see a spring lot suit. Now, I like this spring lot suit because it's, I want to say the doll is named, is it Elena? I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of the dolls from the Fazbear Fright books. That's with the big antagonist in that. I think it's supposed to be like a replica or a look-alike of her. Because that's what it honestly looks like. But he sees the animatronic, and he goes to touch it, and of course Vanessa stops him like she looks scared as hell too. She's like, "Don't touch that!" And he's just like, well, "Why not?" Oh, the spring lot suits, they're very dangerous, very fidgety, you know. It would move the parts out the way so people could wear them as suits, but they were very fidgety. And she grabs a little broomstick and sticks it, and it breaks the broom in half. And she's like, "See? Unstable." So you know she knows shit, and Mike's trying to get to the bottom of it, and Mike keeps asking her about this, and she's just like, "Drop it, Mike, just drop it, you know, let's not talk about this." And as they're stepping out, he's like, "Why don't you talk to me and explain anything to me?" And she looks at him and goes, "I am trying to explain the stuff to you, but you're not listening." Which, honest to God, she really is not explaining all that much to him. She's giving the basic information, and then when he asks for more details, she's like, no, can't tell you that much. No. It's just like, you're not really helpful, but you're helpful at the same time, so I don't know why you're being super incognito about it, when you could kind of tell him more of the facts that we all know, which you do tell him later on, but you don't have to go into detail about, you know, William Afton and all that shit. But as they're arguing about that, Abby is up there goofing off with the animatronics, and she goes to strum Bonnie's guitar. Now, we know from earlier, you know, Bonnie's guitar is unstable, and it sends little sparks everywhere. So, unfortunately, when she does that, she gets a little electrocuted. So, she gets knocked out. And, of course, you know, she's okay. She's fine. She's cool. And he's like, Abby, are you okay? And, of course, Vanessa goes on with kind of like mama mode in a degree. She's like, "Oh, you're okay." Shh. She hugs her. She's like, "It's okay. You just had an accident. It's fine." And, of course, at this point, party's over. Everything's done. And they go outside. And, of course, they continue arguing. Now, a bit of the argument I forgot to make a mention before they walked outside, before Abby had her accident. It was talking about the spring locks. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me this was here? You know how dangerous they are. You know, what if Abby saw this?" And she's like, "You know what, Mike? You're the one who brought Abby here. Which, speaking of, why did you bring Abby here?" And he explains to her that, you know, when he's here, he feels close to Garrett. He knows that sounds weird, but they know something about Garrett, but they don't really like him all that much, so that's why Abby's here to ask him questions. This is why she's like, "You need to drop this. You need to drop this," because she's starting to put pieces together now, because she even makes a statement later on in the movie that she didn't know who Garrett was at first, which means she knew who his brother was eventually. She figured this shit out. So the question is if she knew at this point whether or not she knew who he was talking about. I think she was, because about how dismissive she was, and the fact that she kept saying, "You need to drop this, you need to drop this." She knew. So, after they, you know, get Abby into the car and everything, they're sitting down, and he's just like, "You know something's going on. You were very fearful when looking at the spring lot suit. You know what's going on." And she's like, "Mike, I don't care what you do with your life, okay? I don't care. But if you bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you." And then runs off. Now, I like that line because, like I said, take everything with face value. I believe her when she says she will shoot Mike if he brought Abby back there again. And I think even he believes that. That's why in the next scene he doesn't bring Abby back to the restaurant. He ends up calling Aunt Jane to come watch her. And again, I like that. I like the little tidbit of, he's willing to take her actual word, so he hires somebody, or he basically gets Aunt Jane to help him out, even though he doesn't want to, but that's all he can turn to is her. So, the next scene, though, but before we get too far ahead, the next scene, though, after she storms off, Mike gets into the car, and Abby asks him, why does everybody look at you angry? Everybody always look at you like that. Which means she sees a lot of people get pissed at Mike for a lot of reasons. And she doesn't understand it, and she doesn't get it. Because she thinks Mike, again, is just a perfect brother. She may not say it, but again, her drawings state how she feels about her brother. So that next scene, Mike's at home and he's like calling Aunt Jane to come babysit him while he goes. Okay, we don't know at the time, but he decides to go to the restaurant to sleep again. To ask children, what can I give you to get information about my brother? But but unfortunately, because Abby doesn't understand, when he wakes her up and he's making breakfast, she comes around the corner, she sees Aunt Jane, she thinks he's giving her away, so she's like, I hate you, Mike, I don't want to talk to you. She storms off, she goes in the room and she takes all the drawings she has of him and she starts coloring out his face, because she's so mad, because she honestly thinks Mike's giving her up. Mike's not only taking her away from him, but now taking her away from her newfangled friends that she's now discovered, because now she can't go to work with Mike anymore. Now she can't hang out with her friends anymore. So she's not happy, she blames Mike. But Mike is doing this because he needs a babysitter, because he doesn't know Max is dead and he can't get in touch with Max. So he needs someone to watch her while he goes off to do his business. And so he goes to the drugstore, and I love this scene. I honestly wish this was Markiplier right here, because I could picture Mark doing this. But he goes to get his pills, and the pharmacist looks at it and he goes, having trouble sleeping? You know what I find relaxing? Chamomile and honey. Really? And then Mike just yeets the pills and storms off, and the guy's just standing there and like, what an asshole. Like, could you picture Markiplier saying that? Like, I could. Just that smooth voice of, when I can't sleep, I like to try some chamomile and honey. What an asshole. Like, straight up, I could picture Markiplier doing that. Maybe fingers crossed in the next movie he guest stars as a pharmacist and gets to call somebody an asshole. But Mike goes back to the restaurant, he sits down, and he dreams. But this time, he doesn't even have the original dream anymore. He's now standing there in an alternate version of his dreams. Because at one point, I forgot to make a mention of this, Vanessa is when they were talking, I think, before Abby's attack, I can't remember, I think it was right before Abby electrocutes herself, that the dreams are more vivid here. And that it's almost like he can change what has happened. And like I said, I can't remember, it was right there or when they were having that conversation, when they went on that walk outside and he talked about, Garrett disappearing. But, that's one of the bigger aspects of why he continues to come back to this place, because it's very vivid for him. So he almost feels like he can change it, and I guess the ghost children take that with a grain of salt as well, because when he gets into the dream, it's now changed to what he wishes could have happened. Brother didn't get kidnapped. He's sitting down eating at the table, and he's like, this isn't right. This isn't how it happened. And the little ghost child is just like, yeah, no, but this is how it could have happened. This is how it should have happened. And we can make this happen. No, this is not what I want. I just want information about, no, you want this. You want this to be real. So we can give it to you. We can make this a reality for you. Kind of manipulating Mike a little bit. Which got me thinking. Because again, why would the children suddenly manipulate Mike into giving them Abby? Why would they suddenly want Abby? Yes, they're having fun with Abby. Abby's a great friend and all that shenanigans. So I can get wanting, just to take Abby the way they did. But why would they try to convince Mike to stay in this dreamland? Why they killed him to get him out the way? Why would they do this? There's only one person who would want this to happen, and that's Afton. And like I said, I know for a fact Afton has talked to the kids. Grant, we don't see it in any of the scenes, but in just that one piece of dialogue when he says, "The little ones tell me you have the children tell me you have a little one," which means at some point throughout these 5 nights, these 5 days, Afton has gone to the restaurant and has talked to these kids. Which means he probably has talked to them and somehow coerced them into coercing Mike into giving them Abby so he could do what he does best, which is kill the kids and stuff them in animatronics. Now that is a theory to run off on, but what kind of blows that theory out the water is that later on when they got Abby, we see Chica trying to automatically put Abby into the machine, and of course Vanessa says the ultimate line, they're trying to make her like them. Which we know for a fact, if you die in the suits, you somehow have immortality and will always come back and stay alive. So, it just gets you thinking, are the children doing this not just for the benefit of themselves and for Abby? Are they doing this for Afton as well? Like, these are some good questions. These are some very good questions. And I'm curious myself. I think, honestly, Afton has some hand in negotiating this, maybe convincing them that this was a good idea, going, hey, you're having so much fun with Abby, why don't you bring her here and we can add her to the group, add her to the family, she'll have a blast, she'll have a good time. And Afton, I'm assuming, was supposed to kill her at some point. Like, I'm not 100% sure, this is just my theory on the matter, but I think Afton did have a hand in at least getting Abby here. This is why the kids were so adamant about, we want Abby. Because that was the one thing they want, they just want Abby. And at first, Mike is sitting there like, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. And he looks at his brother Garrett and he touches his head and then he thinks back to Abby and he realizes, hey, I can't be living in the past, man. This is, no, I take it back. Never mind. I don't want you to take Abby. But at that point, it's too late. The deal has been sealed. They stand up, and he's just like, you stay away from my sister. You don't touch, you don't go near her. And then all the kids start attacking him in the dream and basically fucking him up. Like, they're little assholes. I'm not gonna lie, they're little assholes. Especially the one playing Foxy with his little hook. Just, oh my god, he's vicious. Oh. He awakens, though, tied to the same chair from the beginning of the movie with the mask coming down on him. And he starts freaking out like the security guard did. Now, the security guard, when he was trying to get free, found a little screw, and he was trying to unscrew it, but he didn't have enough time to unscrew it, and he died. So Mike continues on where he left off at, safe state and all that, and is lucky enough to get it unscrewed and free himself before the head crashes down on him. So he's alive. And as he's sitting there, he sees the bodies of Max and her friends stuffed in the animatronic suits. And it freaks him the fuck out. And he goes and he takes off down the hallway with all the lights just shutting off on him. He gets to that same fucking door everybody else keeps going to that they can't seem to push with all their might. And of course Foxy's now coming, singing his little jaunty tune as always. And of course Mike is freaking out and he screams and he opens the door and it cuts to black. So we don't know what happens to Mike. I mean, granted, I knew Mike would be okay, but, suspense and all that. We then cut to Abby in her room drawing, and Aunt Jane's just like, come on, Abby, you can't stay in there forever. Fine, shoots a shelf, whatever. And then goes down, sits down, watches a Chia pet commercial, and while she's doing that, in the back of the kitchen, we see a glowing eye, and it's Golden Freddy hanging out in the kitchen. We then hear commotion going on in the room, so Abby gets up, walks in there to investigate to see what happens, and she sees Golden Freddy standing there. And she's like, Freddy! And the little boy goes, "Not Freddy. Come on, let's go play." And she's like, "Okay." She starts packing up. She sees Aunt Jane dead on the floor. Just her feet sticking out from behind the sofa. And she looks at Freddy and he's like, "Silly Aunt Jane. She fell asleep. Let's go." Like, no, bro, I need details on what you did to this woman. Like, I would like to relive this. Like, close my eyes and think about the painful things you have just done to her. On one of the all they probably did was probably break her neck or something. But still, though, she deserved a worse death. That's just me, though. But Abby asks, "How are we going to get there?" No, they asked how they going to get there. And he goes, "Oh, I have an idea." So he hailed a taxi, of course, played by Corey. And he's just like, "Where to, little lady?" And then the second door opens and you just see the taxi slide to the side a little bit, and it's just Golden Freddy standing there, and he adjusts the mirror and just goes, "Ah! Why do I always get stuck with the weird ones?" Like, first of all, how many weird instances do you have being a taxi driver in a small town that this doesn't even faze you? You say it's weird and you just keep driving. Like, you don't question why there's a giant animatronic with a little girl in the back of your taxi at all. Like, you're not going to question it. You're not going to be concerned about it. You just go, "Oh my god, that's weird. Let's go." Also, who's paying for this taxi? Does Abby have money I'm not aware about? Does this little ghost child have ghost money or something? Like, I'm just curious. But you think too much on it, the logic and suspense gets broken. We then cut to another important part, and it is Mike awakening in a building with Vanessa. And he's like, "Oh my god, where am I? Oh, you're back at the ranger station. You're good." And he's all patched up, and he's like, "How did I get here? Oh, you came stumbling out of the pizzeria, and I found you, and I brought you back here to patch you up." And he looks at her and goes, "They tried to kill me, but I guess you already knew that." And that is when he starts going ham on the questions. He's like, "And you knew about my brother, and you knew how dangerous they were, and you didn't say anything at all." And he proceeds to tell her about the dream he had, because she asked, "What happened in there?" And he's like, "They asked me for Abby, and I first said yes, but I changed my mind. I don't want to do this." And he's just like, what do they want with her? And why this is intercut, by the way, we see Abby and Golden Freddy making it to the pizzeria with all the lights on and everything. And she's walking in, getting ready to see the animatronics on stage, and Mike's just like, "What do they want from her?" To make her like them. And what else is really great about this scene is while they're talking, she's like, the kids who went missing, they tore Freddy's apart, checked every aspect up and down. But the man that took these kids was a very bad man, a very cruel man, but also a very clever man. And he hid him in the one place they wouldn't check. The one place. I mean, why would anyone check there anyway? And as she's saying this, the spotlight is popping up on all the animatronics. Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, as they're standing there. And she's just basically saying the epic line, "The bodies are in the animatronics. The bodies are in the animatronics." Kind of, putting that little plot twist in. And then she's just like, "They're not dangerous at all. They're not really dangerous. They're being controlled. They're being controlled by the man that took them." And she grabs a picture. She hands him the picture, and it's a picture of her with a yellow bunny. She's like, "His name is William Afton, and he is my father." Mind blown. Like, I didn't see that one coming at all. Like, I was expecting anything else but that. Like, when I first saw that and she was like, "He is my father," I'm like, plot twist I did not see coming. Granted, there were signs everywhere. There were fucking signs everywhere, and I completely ignored them because I was enjoying the story up to this point. Granted, I'm still enjoying the story even after this point, but the point is, that just took me by surprise, because I was just like, wait, but William Afton only had the one kid with the but how did you? So it got me thinking. Got me thinking. Let me finish the scene and I'll explain how it got me thinking. But she hands him the photo, and he looks at the photo and sees she's holding Garrett's airplane. And that's when he puts two and two together and goes, oh, you knew about Garrett this whole time. Not at first, but it was after. And now he knows too, because he knows you're looking for him. And now it's too late. Like, it took him a minute. And, like, that was, like, the first thing I figured out. I was just like, Yellow Rabbit, the drawing, the fact that you're dreaming more vividly here at the place, the guy, missing kids. 2 and 2, man, 2 and 2. He just didn't do his research, though. He didn't do his homework. But Abby, she's, she lays, not Abby, Vanessa lays it all out flat to her, and he's just like, and she's like, you gotta fight. Oh, how do I fight them? How do I win? She pulls out a taser. She's like, this won't kill them. This will stun them. She pulls out an animal control one, too. She's like, this one we got for wild animals. And he's like, you gotta come with me. No, I can't. If he's there, I won't be any help to you anyways. He really messed you up, didn't he? And she sits there. And while she's sitting there, we get a pan of her staring off into the oblivionness of the darkness. And she hears the screams of a little girl screaming. And then we cut to Mike heading to Freddy after she throws him the keys and says, here, take this. Now, let me explain some shit about Vanessa, my theories on Vanessa. So, if my theory is correct, I don't think it is, but I think they're taking a bit of liberties from both the games of Vanessa from Security Breach and combining it with a new lore that Vanessa is either Elizabeth Afton as the robot being controlled by Afton himself, which, give or take, that could be a possibility. A little long for the stretch, sure, but we've seen this game franchise, we read the books, we know the games. It's possible that she could be an animatronic in disguise here. We don't know this for sure, though. But my theory is, my actual, definitive theory is, she is the sister of Elizabeth Afton. And she witnessed her sister get killed by the animatronics. This is why we heard the little girl screaming specifically when Mike said, he really messed you up, didn't he? She saw what his machinery is capable of. And of course, Afton, being what he is, being the child murderer he is, I'm sure she has witnessed this a couple of times. Now, I don't know to the full extent if she saw everything from beginning to end, but she knew what was going on. She is well aware of what's going on because, Afton tells her that he needs her help cleaning up the mess she made. So, and again, she knows William Afton killed these kids. So the question is, how much information does she know? And I think she was there from beginning to end. She saw the relationship get developed with these kids. She saw him kidnap the kids, and she saw him kill the kids and stuff them in the suits. That's why she knows where the bodies are at. That's why she knows all this information. But I think she is the sister that's going to be part of this lore because, again, probably like the books, it's got some liberties that it's going to take to be a little bit different from the books and the game and everything. So maybe she is Afton's Elizabeth's daughter. Or she's Afton's daughter, she's Elizabeth's sister. Now, another theory I have is she's Vanessa from Security Breach to the extent that she's been brainwashed into thinking the picture of her is her, and it's actually not her, it is Elizabeth we're looking at here. The blonde hair with the green eyes, it's Elizabeth we're looking at. But Afton has done brainwashed her because we know he does that in the Security Breach game, and she is being controlled and manipulated into thinking she is his daughter. She has now become the surrogate daughter that he lost. Instead of baby, it's her. That's another idea I have. So, you know, I have a few theories about her, but those two that I just spoke about are my two main theories. It's either she is, in this canon sense, the sister to Elizabeth and the actual daughter of Afton, or she's being brainwashed into thinking she is the daughter of Afton, and the picture we saw is actually Elizabeth. Yeah. But, again, maybe the sequels might explain a little bit more, maybe go into more detail, you know, to each their own. So when Mike gets to Freddy's, of course, all the lights are on, the spotlight's on the drawing, the spotlights are on the animatronics, and Chica's taking Abby to the back. And Mike sees this, and he comes in, and of course they're singing "Talking in Your Sleep," and I gotta do it because they're all being robotic about it, and it's so fucking cool. I love it. And he's trying to sneak in, and of course Freddy almost catches him, but he's able to hide long enough, so Freddy goes back to singing, and he's sitting there, and he sees Chica take Abby further into the bag, and he's just like, oh my god, Abby, what do I do? He looks down, and he sees his mop buckets from when he cleaned up the restaurant earlier within the week, so he takes it, throws it on the stage, and it takes his taser and electrocutes poor Freddy and Bonnie, and fries their circus out for a minute, making them collapse. Chica now has Abby in the back storage area with the spring lock suit, and she's like, Chica, what are we doing back here? And Chica don't answer. Chica just grabs her and starts trying to stuff her into the suit, and she's like fighting Chica off, like trying to stop herself. She's like, Chica, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And then Mike shows up and is like, hey! And of course Abby gets away from her, and he shoots a taser at Chica in the eye, frying her circuits out, collapsing her, and Abby's like, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what's wrong with her, what's happening here? And for some reason, Mike decides to have a heart-to-heart moment here, and he's just like, Abby, listen, I know I've been a real idiot lately, but I promise, when we get out of this, I'm gonna do better. She's like, okay, Mike, I love you too, but we probably should get out of here. Thank you, be smart, Abby, be smart. Be fucking smart. So as they go to run out, of course, Cupcake saw it all. So Cupcake starts chasing after them. Now, something I would like to say something about Cupcake. I am super, super glad they did not animate Cupcake to fucking move. Like, straight up. Like, I get it. I understand, you know, maybe seeing Cupcake would have been funny, but I feel like that would have been too comedic for me to handle in a horror movie, of seeing Cupcake just bounce around while he's chasing after somebody. I'm glad we don't get to see it move too terribly much, and when we do, it's either a really good practical effect, or it's just this CGI jump scene right here. But what ends up happening is, Cupcake attacks Mike on the leg and starts biting him, and he tells Abby to run and to go hide somewhere. So Abby takes off into the main room and heads towards the arcade section. Now, I love this transition right here. This scene was beautiful. Just beautiful. So Foxy witnessing this. Now, Foxy is in the ghost spirit form at this point, and is in Pirate Cove hiding out in the curtain and sees Abby running, and then he slinks back into the darkness, and then Foxy's animatronic steps forward. I love that transition. I thought that was fucking sweet. I'm like, that was a good idea. Like, that was just cool. So now she's hiding from Foxy, and Foxy's trying to hunt her down, and Mike's fighting off Cupcake the best he can, and eventually Cupcake lunges at him, and he takes the taser and sticks it straight in the Cupcake's mouth and electrifies the little fucker, and he collapses down. And Abby, at this time, like I said, she's hiding from Foxy behind the arcade, and Foxy's walking around. Now, something I'd like to add here when it came to the intense factor of her hiding from Foxy. It was done really, really well. There was no cheesy, dramatic, like high-pitched violins screeching up as he's walking. It's literally, we just hear him moving around, her breathing, her trying to hide carefully. We hear like the game sound effects when she backs into the arcade machine and stuff like that. But there's no stupid music to add intensifying moments, which I can say that about the majority of this movie, actually all this movie. There's no stupid added intense music to make a jump scare even more creepy. It's literally a well-bit scare, and the very tense-filled moments here. And this moment's very intense because, you know, I'm scared for Abby. I'm scared to see what Foxy would do once he gets his hands on her. But as she's hiding, she decides to go into the ball pit and sinkers on down as Foxy is looking for her. Now, Mike finally has won his fight with Cupcake, so he gets up and he's looking for her, and this is where a badass scene happens here. I personally like this scene, and it's not just because it's Afton's entrance. I just like how Matthew Lillard has portrayed Afton here, and it's fucking cool. So Mike comes around from the back end, and all you hear is the step of something coming from the entrance of the building. And then slowly, as the music kind of swells up a little bit, Afton steps out of the shadows, and we see the yellow rabbit. And he comes up, and he's kind of slouched a little bit, and as soon as he comes up out of the entrance, he stands tall. He stands tall and almighty and very scary and intimidating. And Mike grabs the taser, shoots it at Afton, and nothing happens. Because, again, as a casual horror moviegoer, we don't know that there's a person in this suit. We think this is just another animatronic. We don't realize that there's somebody in the suit because, again, if you're not a fan of FNAF and you don't know anything about Springtrap or William Afton or, the tragic story or anything like that, you would think this is just a normal suit. So as a horror movie goer casually watching this movie, I thought this was interesting. It was pretty cool because it tells you this ain't a normal animatronic. This is something else. This is a person in a suit. Because as soon as he gets electrocuted, he laughs and then yeets the taser out of Mike's hand. And then charges at Mike and pushes him. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, that's just, and it shows you how strong that suit is. Because you gotta think, Afton's what? Late 40s, early 50s? Mike's in his 20s. Mike works out too. We see him in the beginning of the movie. He's in his morning routine. He's doing push-ups and shit. So we know Mike works out. At least takes care of his body. And Afton perfectly charged at him and football threw him to the ground. Like the new trapper Maury in Dead by Daylight, just grabbing him and just throwing his ass to the ground, and the bear trap encloses your head. It's kind of like that, except there's no bear trap enclosing his head. But we cut back to Abby hiding in the ball pit as Foxy approaches, and right before Foxy grabs her, somebody else grabs her, and she screams, and it turns out it's Vanessa. And she looks down, she sees Foxy, tweaking out because he just got electrocuted by a taser, and she's like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's wrong with Foxy." "It's okay, Abby, I gotta get you to a safe place. I gotta help Mike out." We cut back to the yellow rabbit and Mike sitting in the room, and I fucking love this shit. Afton's standing above him, and he's just like, "You couldn't leave it alone, could you? Haha, lucky me. This is perfect. First I kill your brother, now I kill you. Symmetry, my friend." And Mike just tells him to go to hell, and he gets kicked in the face. I love that line, just like, he tells him, you couldn't leave it alone. Like, you could have just done your job. You had to get me involved back into this shit. You couldn't just do your thing. You had to keep snooping. And he's just like, this is just perfect, though. Like, this is great. Like, again, you see the perfection in Afton when he goes, "Symmetry, my friend." That's perfection. People who have perfection problems like symmetry. They like constant symmetry. And he sees that when killing Mike. And probably also killing Abby, having the trifecta. The perfect triangle, almost. But after he kicks Mike, he stands up and he says, "Wake up, children. I have something for you to play with. It will be fun." And then he leans over to Mike and says, "The little ones tell me you have a sister. She will love it here. You, however, are finished." And he does the fucking ghost face nice swipe. Like, he does it. I'm like, Matthew, was that you? Was that your own flair right there? Going, I want to nod to Ghostface, to the movie that really made my career. Like, I love it though. But again, I love this scene and these pieces of dialogue because of the fact he says, "The little ones tell me you have a sister and she will love it here," which means, like I said before, Afton's been talking to these kids. So this brings up another argument a lot of people have been having about the movie is why is Afton here? And this is why I say I think Afton has some pull and strings on the kids bringing Abby here. I think his original plan was the kids were going to kill Mike. The kids were going to bring Abby to Afton, and in the yellow rabbit suit, kill her. Maybe take her out back or something, kill her, put her in the suit, and then be like, look, children, Abby is now one of us, and then come back like a big old happy family. Like, I have a feeling he was there to kill her, but he ended up showing up when, Mike got away. Which is another idea you can go with as well. He ended up showing up because Mike got away and knew Mike would be here. So thus is why he said, this is perfect. First I kill you, kill your brother, now I kill you. He came there with the intent to kill Mike as well. So you could take it as he either was getting Abby here to kill her, to get her into the suit, to make friends so he can continue on what he likes to do, or he came here specifically to target Mike, to finish what he started with Garrett, and now he's finishing off on Mike. So I think that's why he was there, to be honest. I think it was maybe a combination of he was there originally to kill Abby, but Mike surviving and knowing his secret, well, that's just the cherry on top right there. Thus is why he said, this is perfect. Cherry on top. My main goal was Abby, but I also get to kill you too. That could also add to that line symmetry, my friend. He ain't just talking about just killing the brother. Like I said, killing the sister too. The perfect triangle right there. But, unfortunately, poor Mike, he's unconscious for all this shit, so he don't get to hear Afton say his name, which is funny because in the beginning of the movie, he doesn't complete Mike's name. He goes, Mike Schmidt, and then cuts himself off. And this one, here he goes, farewell, Mike Schmidt, and actually says his name fully. And then, of course, Vanessa shows up and stops him, and it's just like, you stay away from him. Now, aren't we a little over temper tantrums now, Vanessa? And he walks over to her, and she's like, Dad, I'm serious. Stay away from him. And then, of course, he takes off the suit. And, of course, we're all supposed to be surprised. And, oh, my God, it's Steve Raglan. He's William Afton. Because, again, as a casual horror movie-goer fan, you're not supposed to know this. So that's supposed to be a plot twist right there. Because, again, we don't see who's behind the mask until this moment. So any casual horror movie-goer who would sit down and watch this movie, who has no clue what the hell FNAF is, it just knows that there's evil animatronics in the movie killing people, would see that and probably get a good plot twist out of that. Like, oh. For us as a FNAF fan, we're just like, yeah, we already know this. Why is this a big deal? But again, you have to think of it in two mindsets. So, of course, he takes the mask off, and he starts yelling at her, going, you might have forgotten where your loyalties lie, but they sure have not. Now, help me clean up this mess that you created. And, of course, Abby shows up trying to wake Mike up. So much for hiding Abby in a perfectly good hiding spot, Vanessa. But she tries to wake Mike up. And Mike eventually wakes up and looks at her and looks at Afton, looks at the drawings, and goes, you need to tell your friends what really happened. Show your friends the truth. Tell them who really killed them. So Abby takes off running, grabs a piece of paper, starts drawing. And, of course, Afton's still arguing with Vanessa, and he's just like, you had one job to do. All you had to do was keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close. That's two things, actually. He's being contradicted. He's being pushed back on. He doesn't like that, so he grabs her by the neck and is proceeding to choke her out. Because that's something that I guess pisses him off. But as he's choking her out, he sees Abby drawing, and he goes to stop her, and Vanessa grabs him. Now, she's already taken a shot at him at one point when he was stepping closer to her, and he made a joke, you're not going to shoot me. And she does, but it does nothing. And she ends up losing the gun when he grabs her by the neck. But he goes to grab Abby, and she grabs him, and she's like, no, I'm not going to let you hurt her like you hurt the others. And in retaliation, he turned around and just stabs Vanessa in the side and gives no fucks when he does it. Just, sorry, kiddo, you're in my way. And he goes over to grab Abby, and at that point it's too late. She's done taken the picture and put it up on the wall. Now the power has gone out at this point because Mike's done run off to the back room and turn the lights off. And as that's happening, no, wait, Mike didn't turn the lights off. Mike ran back there to turn them on. They automatically turned off when she put the picture up on the wall, and he asked, "What have you done?" And Mike flips the lights back on, and the spotlight lands on the new drawing, and it's the yellow rabbit killing the kids. And he's just like, "What have you done?" And she just looks at him and goes, "Now they know the truth. Now they know that there's nothing you can hide from." Like straight up, just now they know. And he goes to go after Abby, and Foxy stands in his way, and he's just like, "Move! Get out of my way!" And now they won't, because now they see the light. Now they know Afton's killed him. Their best friend, the Yellow Rabbit, who they had so much song and praise for, has killed them and has betrayed them. So they start all ganging up on Afton. Now this shows you more of how much control Afton needs to have. And he starts by saying all this shit. Look at you nasty things that you have become. Look how small you are, how worthless you are. You're a wretched, rotten little beast. I made you. Now, I get, saying shit, talking shit because you're about to die and everything. But the fact of the matter is, he is still trying to show dominance, controlling the fear over them, basically making them feel small because now he's feeling small because his creations, these children who he's done put inside of his own animatronics are now turning against him. And so he's trying every tactic in his book to get back control. And one of the ways you can take control is by belittling somebody and making them feel small. But that's not working. Cupcake then proceeds to attack him by biting his suit, activating the spring lot suits, basically recreating what happened to him in the video games. Because we see in the video games he was inside the suit to hide, and then the children attacked him, and then the spring lot suits combust. We also see this in the book, and this is how it played out in the book to a degree. The children were there, but it was Charlie who activated the spring lot suits. The point is, spring lot suits got activated, and poor Afton was dying. He was getting crushed to death. And as he is slowly getting crushed by the spring lot suits, Abby's like, "What's going on?" Spring lot suits. It's like, I don't know why I said it like that, but that's really how it happened. He's just like, it was a spring lot suit. But as he's sitting there, he knows. Now, this scene might confuse casual horror movie goer fans, but as fans of FNAF, we all get what's about to happen. But for casual fans who don't know it, let me break it down for you. Afton has found some way to keep, and I think I made a mention about this earlier in the podcast, he's made some reason or somehow has figured out some way to become God and has made life everlasting inside the suits. As long as you wear the suits, you live forever. He knows this. We as FNAF fans know this. You as casual movie horror goers, y'all don't know this. So this scene may be a bit jarring. But he's doing this because he wants to live. Like, he knows he's going to live. So this is why he grabs his helmet and says, "I'll be back." I'm sorry, not "I'll be back." But he says I always come back. Like, seriously, he says, "I always come back." Now, the first time I watched this, I thought it was just a bit of a jarring line, just to randomly say, I always come back. I'm like, okay, you're just doing that as candy fodder right there. But then I started thinking about it with the video game logic and the book, like a FNAF fan, and realizing he's saying this because he knows for a fact that once he puts this suit on, he's going to come back to life. He's going to be alright, he may be in agonizing pain like Darth Vader over here for the rest of his life, but he will be back. Now, as this is happening, because the kids now know the truth, they feel utterly betrayed. They feel betrayed by their best friend, the Yellow Rabbit. And this is where I come back to, this place is their home. Because now everything's a lie to them. The building starts caving in. Not the full building like collapsing all the way around, but just like the main room starts collapsing in on itself, breaking up, and Freddy roars. Now, a lot of people thought that was a stupid fucking thing, that Freddy roared like a T-Rex, but I get it. It's an animatronic, it makes noise. That's the type of noise it makes. Hell, even Springtrap, when he came out, had a little growling grunt noise like an animal too, to let you know they have kind of animal-like sound effects on them. And Freddy was screaming like that because he's angry. His best friend is the one that killed him. Everything he knows is a lie. He's been doing this guy's bidding for what? So he's angry. He's an angry child, so he's going to scream. And he screamed, and they drag Afton away as he's tweaking out in the suit because it fucking hurts probably to get stabbed by spring locks. And Abby and Mike get up, and they grab Vanessa, who's unconscious, and they carry on out, and they hobble out of this place. Now we cut to a few weeks later. We're with the social worker again. And she's just like, I don't know what has happened these last few weeks, but she's made a drastic improvement. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And you see that they're actually getting along now. No more walls. The walls are now put down. They're a happy family. You know, they're talking about, what they want for dinner, what's going to happen. There's no wrong choice. It's either pizza or spaghetti. What do they want? And, it's a cute moment. It's really a cute moment. And then we cut to Mike going, hey, before we head home, let's make a stop real quick. And he goes to the hospital, and we see Vanessa there, and she's in a coma. Which I like that as a reference, as a nod to the fourth game, being that we all think it takes place in the dream of a coma person. So I wanted to go and do something with that. I don't know. I like the idea, though. But he talks to her, and he's like, if you weren't there, I don't think we would have made it. Please come back. We're waiting for you. Basically let Vanessa know, hey, we're here for you for when you wake up. Because we like you. You're cool. You're awesome. Be cool. But they head on home. And while they're getting ready, of course, they're getting ready for dinner. And he closes the refrigerator, and we see that little picture of all of them, of the Mike and her and Vanessa and the animatronics all in the fort scene. And as they're sitting down to eat, Abby asks Mike, I miss them, I'm sure they're lonely, no one there to take care of them. Do you think we can maybe go see them sometime? And he sits there and he's like, wait a minute, why would you want to go see them? Like, kind of hesitate, but instead of being revolted by the question or, just nonchalantly going off, he just goes, you know what, Abby? You never know what might happen. And then they just have a little cute conversation, a little giddy conversation about milk. Like, do you think you should drink enough milk? You get spots like a cow. Kind of end on that happy little note. We then fade to the pizzeria as we're going in. We see the destruction of what happened when the room caved in. And we see Afton in the storage room, still alive, still tweaking out. And he reaches his hand up to ask demand, require help from the ghost child, who stands there, looks at him angrily, and then closes the door on him, which means he will forever be stuck there until they decide to open up that Fazbear Fright shit and agonizing pain, dealing with all this shit. Or they could take it like the book, and eventually he will just walk out in all that agonizing pain. The point is, he reached up to either get control, see if he still had control of the kid, or at least ask for help. See, there's still some sense of, hey, I'm the yellow rabbit, I'm still your friend. And the little ghost boy's just like, nah, and then closes the door. Now, the movie's not over yet. We then hit the credits. Of course, Living Tombstone, Five Nights at Freddy start playing. But we had one little mid-credit scene. I thought it was kind of funny. But Corey, the taxi driver, is sitting there and he's sleeping. He's on break, and somebody opens the cab door and he's just like, "Go away, I'm off the clock." No, he hears a noise first and he goes, "Go away, I'm off the clock." Then he hears the door open and close and he said, "Man, I said go away, I'm off the," and he screams because it's Balloon Boy sitting in the passenger seat. And that's it. That is Five Nights at Freddy's. Like I said, as a FNAF fan, it's great. It's wonderful. It's a great love and affection towards the games, the books, the world of FNAF itself. It's wonderful. As a horror movie casual watcher, it's mid. It's mid. It's not that scary. It's got some intense moments, but the practical effects are great. The lighting's great. The music's great. The acting is pretty great. The writing's subpar. But overall, it's not a bad movie. I highly recommend it, especially if you have kids who want to see the movie. I think it's appropriate for them. There's not that much cussing in it. There's no blood in it. Very little violence happens. Like, the people who do get killed, they deserve to get killed. You know, we don't like these characters, so we root for them to die anyway, like any generic horror movie. But overall, it's a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it. Am I excited to see what they come up with when it comes to the second one? For sure. I'm excited to see the cast, if they bring back a majority, if not the entire cast that's still alive, that is, back for the sequel. I'm curious to see where the story goes. I got questions about Vanessa. I like this. I like this because I don't know. Because, yeah, I know majority of the information. I know a lot of key points and elements. But I'm taking it like the books. And what Scott said about the books, about the continuity, about it doesn't have to be the same. What was that quote? What was that quote he said? Hang on, let me go back to that quote. Not intended to solve anything, not intended to be a guide for the games or to fill gaps. The games are what they are, and as I stated before, the story is finished. Lore is something can become so convoluted that you can't tell the original story anymore. Separate continuities share many familiar elements. The books are canon, just as the games are canon, doesn't mean they're intended to fit together like two puzzle pieces. Watch, and he says read to enjoy, but I say watch to enjoy. I believe that the movie is canon to a degree. Maybe fully to a degree. Maybe if Scott came out and said, oh yeah, no, this is canon, this is the actual story right here, then maybe. But again, I think there is some continuity to this. Like I said, I'm taking it like the books. It's just another media. It's just another thing for the Fazbear world. So I am excited to see where this goes. But I think I've done rambled long enough about this fantastic movie. So I do believe we'll probably go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched is watching will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And to watch this video here on YouTube, please give this video a like, subscribe, and a comment down below because you never know what's going to happen here. Trust me, I never know. Next time we do the podcast, which might be next week, maybe the week after, because next week I do believe is my birthday week. Is it my birthday week? Because we're on the 10th now. My birthday's on the 16th. Yeah, next week's my birthday week, so I don't know if I'll have a podcast, if I have time for that. But I do plan on doing House of the Falling Ushers. Great Netflix TV show I watched in October. Fantastic. Love to sit down and talk about it. It's great. Edgar Allan Poe and retelling of his stories. I think it's great. I want to talk about it. That's definitely what we're going to be talking about for episode 44. But this finally wraps up the FNAF month we had back in October, getting all geared up for the movie and everything. I think it was fantastic. I enjoyed the movie. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of FNAF. If you're a casual moviegoer, I say wait for streaming. Luckily, it's streaming on Peacock, so you can throw it on the background, good background noise. Again, there's some funny moments in here, some good moments. I think you'll enjoy it, but it may not be your cup of tea. But I say go ahead and give it a shot. But like I said, hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this on Spotify or Anchor, also give this a follow because you never know what's going to happen here. I try my best to keep up with the schedule, but things happen. Like I said, I originally planned to have this out for October actually on Halloween. I originally planned to put this as a Halloween special, but shit came up. I couldn't quite do it because of some shit, and I really don't want to get into what kind of shit it was, but it did put me behind schedule and messing up my whole schedule yet again, as per usual. Because I had everything perfectly planned out to get us through the rest of the year, and because of this one thing, it done threw my schedule off by a week yet again. So, we'll see how it is, but until then, my friends, y'all take care.